certain staff benefits. The company says this move is a result of increasing pressure on local automotive industry, particularly from the rapid growth of Chinese vehicle brands in the market. Over the past few years, as you have seen, Chinese car manufacturers have really gained significant market share in South Africa. And that's largely because their vehicles are more affordable than many of the brands that traditionally dominated the sector. So this shift is now raising concerns about the sustainability of other manufacturers and just the broader impact on jobs within the industry. So I want to know, if you drive a Chinese-made vehicle, do you drive one of the Chinese-made vehicles, and what influenced your decision to buy it? Was it the price? Was it the features? Is it availability? Is it something else? And if you work in the automotive sector, is there serious concern about the impact of the growth of the Chinese vehicle brands in the market on jobs? Because I would imagine that people who are being hired by dealerships that sell these Chinese vehicle brands are actually hiring people in those dealerships. So what is the issue then? I'm trying to understand that. Please, can you assist? Right? If we are talking about retrenchments that are happening or benefits are being cut because of the increasing pressure on the local automotive industry, particularly from the rapid growth of Chinese vehicle brands in the market, I'm trying to find the causal link there, because the very same Chinese vehicle brand will have to be sold in dealerships. Who is selling them in dealerships? That's the people who work there. So jobs are being created. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. Give us a call or send a WhatsApp voice note. And then, what is going on at the Goodman Gallery? Apparently, the gallery has dropped the artist Gabrielle Goliath, seemingly because of her selected artwork that dealt with Gaza, which is meant to show at the 2026 Venice, I think it's Biennale. So you may have seen in the news the Minister of Arts and Culture, Gayton McKenzie, also cancelled her participation in the Biennale. The minister had stated publicly that his actions were motivated by an attempt to prevent an unnamed foreign government from hijacking South Africa's pavilion in Venice. So the issue here, at least for me, is that, the Goodman Gallery has always been a progressive art space. It's one of the most successful commercial galleries in the country. Remember how they initially defended the spear? That highly controversial 2010 painting by South African artist Brett Murray that depicted then President Jacob Zuma with his genitals exposed. The Goodman Gallery initially defended the right to display that painting as a matter of artistic freedom of expression. And now they can't defend and stand with an artist they have been with for 10 years? Think about it. Just in 1 month, this artist, Gabrielle Goliath, was unanimously selected for Venice. She was dropped by her gallery of 10 years. She is now censored by her government. For what? For her work called Elegy, which mourns South African women killed by femicide and Palestinian women and children killed in Gaza. And I think this is a major, major red flag for artistic freedom. The gallery says Goliath is one of the artists that they are letting go because they're facing significant difficulties which would necessitate further structural shifts, including downsizing the stable of artists. That is what they're going with as an official response. The producers have tried to get a hold of them. We still haven't gotten a hold of them to come on the show, but would like to invite them to have a chat with us. What do you think about this approach that the Arts and Culture Minister has taken and the approach that the Goodman Gallery has taken? I see a lot of people on Twitter, some people are saying, I am definitely going to boycott the gallery. I want nothing to do with it because how dare they give us this response knowing very well what the real reason is. What do you think? Do you look at it the same way? Do you think something else is at play? 011-883-0702. I'll take your WhatsApps as well on 072-702-1702. Between 10 and 11 o'clock, we're going to do the Hanging Out feature. Today I'm hanging out with actor and presenter Nimrod Nkosi. He's many other things. This is someone I grew up watching I mean, remember in the late 90s already. And he's remained a familiar, trusted voice ever since. Like, we literally grew up watching him, and he grew up in the public eye. You probably know him from Jam Alley. Yeah? Remember Uba Molwami? He's been on Scandal, Utatako, Love, Law, and Betrayal, if that's what you're watching now, and many other productions. And I can't wait for us to get to know him better between 10 and 11 o'clock. At 11 o'clock, we do our Thursday dialogue, and today we're going to be asking and continuing that conversation we started yesterday on the open line. South Africa's joint naval exercise with China and Russia and Iran, does that carry a political cost? I've got experts I've invited who are going to join us for that conversation. By the way, there's still no clarity over whether South Africa has managed to persuade Iran to be an observer rather than an active participant. I've been trying to get a hold of everyone in the SANDF to figure out, did Iran participate or not? Because my understanding is that the exercise, the military drills end, I think, today, if I'm not mistaken. So were they able to persuade Iran to take up that observer status as opposed to actively participate? And we've constantly been told since yesterday by the SANDF that there will be a press briefing. They didn't want to do interviews. So we'll have this conversation with some experts on our Thursday dialogue. That's the show coming up over the next 3 hours.
Clement Manyathela, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Good morning, Mr. Manyathela. Shumani here. Yeah, about this Chinese cars. Right now at work, I'm driving a naval. Yeah. Well, the fascinating thing about this car is that fuel. It's like you're driving for free. The scary thing about it again is that if this car breaks down, am I going to get it fixed? Are they going to get it right? Because most of the things here is just electronics. So it has battery, and then it uses battery and uses petrol. So everything here doesn't make sense in this car. How they work this technology, I don't know. But it is fascinating. I don't know if maybe South Africa is ready for this kind of technology, but yeah, we'll see.
Then maybe the Chinese are ahead of time, which is what any company should always want to do, right? These Chinese companies. Mark, you are calling us from Centurion. What are your thoughts? Good morning.
Yeah, hi, Clement.
Hi.
But that's your question regarding the local motor industry.
Yeah.
You equate job creation in a couple of dealerships to sell cars. There are tens of thousands, if not 100,000 jobs that are out there supporting the local car manufacturing industry, whether it's tires, whether it's components, whether it's steel, whether it's rubber, whether it's plastics, whether it's all kinds of different things that Mercedes, Volkswagen, Ford, BMW, and so on require, etc. and so on. I mean, Port Elizabeth is well known for that. In order to build cars locally, manufacture them locally, therefore gaining export credits by being able to export these cars all over the world. That's why we have in the past, if you wanted to import a car fully assembled and fully manufactured somewhere else, import tariffs and duties up to something like over 100%. So tariffs on imported cars and imported goods are nothing new, and you need to do this in order to protect your local industry, and not only a couple of dealerships, but all the other manufacturing jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, our South African government struck a nice deal again with the Chinese, like they do. I don't know what import duties and import tariffs the Chinese cars, are basically getting, if any. I mean, I hazard a guess, most probably not too much or hardly anything. And at the same time, you cut your nose to spite your face by destroying local jobs. And this is exactly why Trump imposes tariffs.
Mark. Oh, we've lost Mark. Have we? Okay, we've lost Mark. I see the line is still there, but There's just silence. I'm not sure what happened there. But I hear that, and I wanted to ask a question around the issue of tariffs. I had two more questions. Can we see if we can bring Mark back? Because it sounds like he does work in the industry. Let's see if we can get him back on the line. Tsepo, you're calling from North Riding. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. How are you?
Sharp, man. Go ahead.
I would like to, first of all, greet your viewers as well. And then I'd also like to add on what Mark's statement said. The Chinese cars, they pay less tax than the cars from the West.
Mm-hmm. So what, less tariffs?
Less tariffs, yes. If you have to break down all of the tariffs and the taxes on a vehicle, it's actually 60%. If a car costs you $1 million, 600K is actually tax and the tariffs. Now, the Chinese, obviously, they got a nice deal with the government because of BRICS. Whatever the Chinese sell in South Africa is going to be way cheaper than Western companies. Our politicians, they cut deals which favor them, and they do not consider the companies which hire people. Because Ramaphosa, our president, once mentioned that it's the private sector that creates jobs, not the government. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
He is killing the private sector by bringing the Chinese companies which do not hire South Africans. I mean, the naval. It comes to South Africa already made. There's no South African which built it. There's no South African which was outsourced. It just comes to South Africa ready made.
Okay. So I'm trying to think what could be the sweet deal that South Africa signed here, like in the benefit of the local industry, because I don't think that South Africa would be naive to just sign a deal that just benefits these Chinese companies. I'm trying to figure out what's in it for us. I mean, these companies come here. So are there specific companies that sell these Chinese vehicles? And if there are, I mean, those must be hiring locals too. So isn't that how we benefit as well, in a way?
Yes, they do hire locals, but not like the Western companies. Companies from the West. Okay, small example, Mr. Clement. Let's drift away from the Chinese. Now there's Walmart, a company from the West. If you have to go buy maybe a TV, are they not going to ask for a TV license? They will, which is the regulation of South Africa. Go to China Mall. You'll get a TV without a TV license. You'll get a TV without a TV license. There are a lot of shortcuts the Chinese and benefits the Chinese get, and the government doesn't do anything, which in the long term makes it hard for the companies from the West to compete with them. Yes.
Okay.
So it's not only the vehicle. I know I drifted out of the topic. It's not only the vehicle market, but look, China is no friend to anyone. They are not a friend to us, and they'll never be our friends.
Yeah. But Tsepo, my understanding is it looks like there's a benefit on the locals because they're able to still get like an SUV at a much, much cheaper price compared to how much you'd get from, a German.
Again, Clement, tax on the tariffs were high. I was listening to a listener. A 2010 Bentley can do so much technology that the Chinese are offering us. Technology back then, it wasn't about affordability. It was about accessibility. Now the Chinese don't pay much. They can give us this technology that's accessible. These Chinese, if you've been in a Rolls Royce, Bentley, you'll understand that these Chinese cars, they have the exact technology from them. It's just that these cars were exclusive. They were not accessible to anyone.
Okay, Tsepo, North Riding, thank you so much for that. Mark, we've got you back on the line. You got cut off there as you were making your point.
Sorry, I'm busy driving.
Continue your point.
Driving.
Yeah,
I was actually finished with my point, but I mean, Tsepo also mentioned it. I mean, you asked what might be in it for South Africa or for this certain few. And you must remember, I mean, the Chinese car industry isn't very old. It's about maybe 20, 25 years old. In the beginning, they got hold over the coals for blatantly going to the Geneva and Frankfurt and whatever motor shows, taking photographs and measurements and then copying the same cars and building them. And that's how that car industry started, okay? And I'm not even building their own cars, but basically copying everyone else. So they don't have the experience of having a car industry like, for instance, the Germans and the Americans and to a certain degree the Japanese had for the last 70 or 80 years. I mean, obviously the Europeans have been building cars for over 120 years, etc. and so on. So ultimately, they've now created this monster, this manufacturing monster. And this doesn't only come down to the car industry, okay? But they've created this monster. They have got 1.2 billion people that need to be employed. They've got the factories. And to a certain degree, I read somewhere that the Chinese government is actually subsidizing all the manufacturing plants, particularly the car industry, to manufacture cars. Now they need to get rid of all these cars because ultimately, if the car industry slows down, and it has slowed down, especially with the EVs, that the boom that's not really happening anymore to the rest of electric vehicles. That is, it's not even. Now they need to put their cars. So now they've created incentives. Okay, please take my cars and sell them in your country. And obviously, you can imagine in return for what exactly? It benefits certain people to bring these cars in and let them be sold on without tariffs and without import duties. Like I'm saying, I'm not quite sure. Chepo says, we don't charge any technical tariffs and duties. I don't know. I don't want to say that. I'm sure the AA, if you phone the AA, they will know, exactly what tariffs and duties are being put onto Chinese cars. But this is typically how it is. And they flood markets generally around the world with their goods, be it TVs, be it electronics, be it washing machines and so on, because they need to manufacture them. They need to employ their people and so on, and then they need to put the goods out into the world. And obviously that's where the incentives comes in. Okay. And unfortunately, we all know how this country works.
Yeah, got you. Mark in Centurion, thank you so much for your call. But guys, everywhere you drive, you see these Chinese vehicles. So, and I've asked the producers to try and get a hold of the Trade and Industry Department because I want to understand what the deal is that we've signed with China in as far as at least the tariffs are concerned. But my thing is, you are the consumer. You are buying the vehicles because they are cheaper. Isn't that the benefit for you? So there's some of you listening right now, you would have loved to have an SUV. But it's always been outside of your price point. And here is a Chinese vehicle that still sort of gives you the feel of an SUV, but it comes at half the price to what a German car would have cost you. Isn't that the benefit for you? And the fact that we're seeing so many vehicles on the road shows that you are happy with the cars. You are happy with affordability. At least that's how I'm trying to understand it. David, you are calling from Pretoria. What do you think?
Clement, the whole thing is all about free market enterprise. We are a free market enterprise country. Anybody who will bring his product here, obviously if the product has been tested through the SAPS, we will buy it because it is cheap. People want an affordable goods that they can survive with.
Yes.
All the cars that comes from Europe, that comes from America, firstly, we have a problem of the rand dollar, the rand euro, and the rand pound exchange. And if the one is cheaper and can give us the same vehicle, we are going to buy that car from China. That car from China has got the latest technology. It is proven. It is given guarantee of 1 million kilometers and 2 years of warranty. Who is not going to fall for that? And the Chinese are smart. They have produced every vehicle for every budget. You want a car for 200,000, you'll get it. You want a brand new car for 100,000, you'll get it. That's how it's going to go. We used to have American cars here, which were gasless, and they were taken out by the Europeans. Now it's time that the Europeans leave. The Chinese are taking the market. Thank you.
Well, David in Pretoria, thank you. So, yeah, the free market enterprise and competition is really going to get tougher and tougher. And maybe the West needs to get ready for that. Let's go to some WhatsApps on 072-702-1702.
Hey, my name is Clem over in Fosloras. Clement, about your discussion about the automotive industry. I would say the Chinese are showing us, as Africans, Clement, we've been slaves for British markets, American cars and stuff. I think this is a start, Clement, in everything. Now we can see that we can break away from them, although we are going towards the Chinese. I'm not owning a Chinese car, but I'm just saying that, the German market, the Americans, like the Western, they've been dominating this market for so long. So the problem is that we are hitting their pockets. Now that's why there's complaints that it's like when you hit Trump's pockets, you are going to be in trouble. But I don't see anything wrong. As you are saying, these other Chinese companies, they are employing people to work on their dealerships. So I don't see any problem. The only problem is that we are hitting a certain market that we are not supposed to hit. Thank you.
Yeah, it's 9:30. Let's get the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. We'll continue with your calls. Keep them coming on 011-883-0702. Must say I'm learning a lot as well, because I don't understand much about the automotive industry, and I'm understanding more about just the trade deals and what benefits you and what benefits the countries and the companies, and what that says about competition between China and the West. I'm going to take your WhatsApps as well on 072-702-1702. Sfiso, hi.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. The DA's mayoral candidate for Johannesburg, Helen Zille, is expected to be sworn in as a PR councillor in the metro. The DA in Johannesburg has told EWN it's in the process of shuffling its councillor candidate list, with Zille likely to take the top spots if a vacancy does open. The Limpopo government has been stepping up its response to severe flooding after a late-night emergency meeting. The meeting included the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs as authorities look to coordinate relief, rescue and recovery efforts. And U.S. President Donald Trump claims he has been told the killing of protesters in Iran has stopped. Trump had repeatedly talked in recent days about coming to the aid of Iranian people over the crackdown of protests that rights groups say has left at least 3,400 people dead. But in a surprise announcement at the White House, Trump says he has now received assurances from very important sources on the other side that Tehran has now stopped the executions and they will not go ahead. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 10 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, traveling in the city of Tshwane Centurion, we've got heavy delays, in fact, bumper-to-bumper traffic along the N14 East between the R55 and the Brakfontein interchange, and that's due to the roadworks that are taking place along that route. So please be on the lookout and be patient. You can still use the N1 North towards the Centurion area if you want to avoid this backlog. And then traveling on the N1 North in the Randburg area, we still have got that a major accident scene. It's right on the N1 North near Malibongwe Drive. It's causing about a 20-minute hold-up coming out of Beyers-Naudé Drive, and then on Malibongwe Drive queuing traffic as well. This is between Vertkoppen Road and the N1 exit, so please be on the lookout there and continue driving with care. Otherwise, in Sandton, we still have got faulty traffic lights reported on the M1 North and Grayston Drive. Obviously, at this particular time of the morning, the pointsmen on duty are off, so you do need to be on the lookout there and use that turn off as a four-way stop. And then, of course, more traffic lights are out of order. This is in Crowthorne along the R55 and Kyalami Boulevard. We'll have more updates. Do stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
Boreholes has been discussed and being placed one of the options, I suppose, that the municipality has access to. What are the other sources that you are looking to tap into?
We are fast-tracking the building of another dam within that area, and it's a long process that is going to be taken by the department. We need to also look at the recycling of water. We need to look at the reuse of water. There is also a desalination plant.
Zanele Bila Mupariwa is the Western Cape Provincial Head for the National Department of Water and Sanitation.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
For the best game viewing, you go to Mpumalanga. For the best whale watching, you go to Hermanus. And for the best in investments, go to Nedbank. Earn up to 7.6% interest with a Nedbank Just Invest account and access your funds within 24 hours. For better returns, go with Nedbank. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
As part of our road safety strategy under the banner of Cross Alive, the Department of Transport, in partnership with the Cross-Border Road Transport Agency and law enforcement partners, is extending road safety efforts beyond our borders. South Africa experiences high levels of cross-border travel, especially during this time, and safety remains our priority. Let us work together to protect every life on every route. Brought to you by the Department of Transport, moving South Africa forward.
Okay, Truck 7, that has zero warning lights. Truck 8, it's just been serviced. I guess we're running like a well-oiled machine. Where would I be without MyWay's comprehensive cover for my vans and trucks? Plus, cover for my customers' orders with goods and transit insurance. I guess we'll never know.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. MyWay is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. MyWay. Live your way.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
On 702.
25 minutes before 10 o'clock. We're taking your calls on 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. I've been asking you about the IDT CEO who is gone, who has now resigned. But don't worry, they didn't give her some golden handshake. Sure, can you imagine if it was still during that other era with that other president? Yeah, and I'm not suggesting that there haven't been golden handshakes with this other president, but I remember how they were rife during that time. This woman would have probably walked away with 20, 50 million rand, who knows? He's gone, she's gone, and she's not walking away with anything. And what I'm more happy about is that her resignation also doesn't absolve her from any criminal matter. So, and I hope really that can take shape soon. I'm also asking you about Chinese vehicle brands, because I was reading a story the other day about the car dealer Motors, which has announced plans to retrench some employees and reduce certain staff benefits. The company says that this is as a result of increasing pressure on the local automotive industry, particularly from the rapid growth of Chinese vehicle brands in the market. And of course, over the past few years, these Chinese car manufacturers have gained significant market share in South Africa. And that's largely because, and from what I'm hearing from some of you who drive these cars, you're saying that they're more affordable than many of the brands that traditionally dominated the sector. But this shift is beginning to raise some concerns in some quarters in the automotive industry about the sustainability of other manufacturers and the broader impact on the jobs within the industry. So if you have a Chinese-made vehicle, I'd like to hear what your experience has been. One, you can comment on these concerns that are being raised, but what's also influenced your decision to buy that car? Is it the price point? Is it the features? Is it availability? What is it really? And also, if you understand this automotive sector, is there serious concern really about the impact of the growth of the Chinese vehicle brands in the market on jobs? 011-883-0702. You can send your WhatsApps as well on 072-702-1702. We're also talking about the Goodman Gallery. Apparently, they have dropped artist Gabriela Goliath, seemingly because of her selected artwork that dealt with Gaza, which is meant to show at the 2026 Venice Biennale. The Minister of Arts and Culture also cancelled her participation in that. So that is quite concerning for a gallery, which is one of the most successful commercial galleries in the country, a gallery that's always been progressive, that's always defended artistic freedom. I'm interested in your thoughts on that too. Khotso, let's start with you. You're calling us from Midrand. Good morning.
Morning to you, Mr. Clement. So, man, look, regarding the Chinese vehicle, I hear you say SUVs. No. Like, for example, you see this GWM, which looks like the Val and stuff. Those are not SUVs, are your normal cars. You know why? The shape might look like an SUVs, because I've already seen a lot of complaints regarding them, whereby the car was stuck during the festive, was stuck in the mud, the Emakaya, the unfortunate part, they were trying to take it out with that traction of SUVs, but it couldn't even manage to do anything. It's your standard car. And the other thing which makes these cars to be appearing to be so cheaper is you see the Chinese compared to the Germans. For them to manufacture, it becomes more cheaper than the Germans. The Germans, for them, their manufacturing process is more expensive compared to the Chinese. I just want to catch that one quickly. And the very same, you can take a buggy, your normal Toyota buggy, and take that GWM buggy. You see, big buggy of that buggy. I had this other lady who was we're in the same class, years back. The lady bought a brand new buggy of GWM. This one, like, it looked like a 4x4. He said that buggy couldn't even last for 3 months. Why didn't he tried? She was trying to explain, because she said while she was driving on the highway, the buggy started to give him problems.
Okay. Hotso in Midrand, thank you for your thoughts. Sipho, you are in Polokwane. What are your thoughts? Hi. It's Ada.
I want to give you a typical example of what the Chinese car has the South African taxi industry.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you have got the ability or the power to, I would like you to invite the chairman of Santaco and the minister of transport, because the government has done injustice to the taxi industry during the era of Thabo Mbeki. The first batch of the Chinese cars to come into South Africa was in 2006. And then it was introduced to the taxi people, saying it is a good quality car, the so-called the Inyati.
Oh, Inyati.
Yeah, that is a Chinese car. I think that I'm not quite sure whether that is the first batch or not. And then Clement, believe me, all the people who bought those cars from 2006 up to 2010, currently they are out of business, because you can never repair that car. They are out of business. If there are some which are still on the road, they've got parts falling off all over the place. And then the taxi people even approach the Department of Transport so that they must take those cars back. And then they've been fighting this battle from 2011 up to now.
Jeez.
Because if you remember, there is something which is called the so-called the recapitalization. The government is taking back the old taxis, and then they are giving the taxi people some incentives. Currently, is something around 150,000, 140,000 per taxi. The taxi people are complaining that, but we are paying these taxis for over $1 million, and you are giving us 140,000, 150,000. But the government right now is refusing to take those Chinese cars back. They say they are not old. They say we are taking the old taxis, and then we are telling us about the taxi which has been bought in 2010.
Even though you've raised concerns and issues with those cars, yeah. Sipho, thank you so much for raising that. And the next time I speak to the Transport Minister, I'll definitely raise that issue. Eunice, you're in Kilani. You want to talk about this issue of artistic freedom of expression. What are your thoughts? Hi.
Yeah, hi there, Clement. Clement, look, first of all, I think my sympathies are with Gabriela Goliath. You know, here South Africa has a chance of going to the prestigious Venice Biennale, and, you know, the world's, that's one of the top art, what do you call it, what's the word now? You know, functions that they're having in the world. And here we have a minister who's actually intervening and is curbing someone from freedom of expression here, and he's actually stopped funding Gabriella. So I think Gayton McKenzie is totally out of line here in terms that he's now, first of all, blames a foreign country for interfering and trying to fund this thing, whilst he himself has got a position on this place. Gabriella here was going to express herself on women and children being killed in various conflict areas, including the genocide that happened in Namibia. So if that was fine, and she included in her piece what is currently happening in Gaza of the women and children. And I mean, for example, that what we're seeing in Gaza, Clement, the whole entire world has been seeing it live on television. Now, unless Gayton McKenzie is not seeing that, given the fact that you must take into cognizance that he himself went to Israel, he's come back publicly and says that he stands with Israel. And I think, Clement, the bigger picture here is this is where this government of national unity is now cracking. Because I think the president needs to be firm on this. Because 2 weeks ago, we had Corne Muller expressing himself against the government. And now you're having Gayton McKenzie here. And as far as Gayton McKenzie goes, Clement, I think this guy has to be brought in line. Or if not, the president must take firm action against him.
Yeah, the DA has reported him to the public protector over this decision. They think he's abused his power. So let's wait and see what's going to come out of that. Joshua, you are in Weinberg. What do you want to say about these Chinese manufacturers? Good morning.
Hi, morning, Clement.
Sure.
Yeah. Look, I've been in the motor manufacturing industry for some time. Then what's happened is that when they produce a vehicle, you see the end product is being a vehicle that's standing there is complete. But there are other companies that are contributing towards that very same product that do employing a lot of people around in the country. You got your Bogona, you say, look, they're producing the diff or the crown wheel and pinion that goes into the drive side of the vehicle. Then you got your trash plates that were produced by Repco, other companies that were doing. The different companies were doing contributing in the very same country. So now you have a complete product coming from somewhere else. Then you get there's no contribution in terms of employment. You got the salespeople for the very same vehicles that are produced internally in the country. There are salespeople that are selling those vehicles. So the very same companies, they do the same thing. It's only on the end where they are selling the people, that's where you see the employment. It's not enough. When you look back, there should be a contribution. It's a the whole value chain, where there are people that are working there in those companies, in those industries.
So none of these like Chinese manufacturing companies have plants here in South Africa.
But I'm not so sure about whether they have plants here, but they already have the products. All the parts, they are import. They're coming from they're coming from China. So there's nothing the country to contribute to that in terms of employment.
Oh, okay, Joshua in Weinberg, got you. Thank you so much for your call. Let's go to some WhatsApps, and I'll come to the calls. Malibongwe and Gwen, I'll start with you.
Hi, Clement. Yeah, when it comes to these Chinese cars, man, I'm very skeptical to buy one of. I think it's better to deal with the devil that you know. I'm a BMW person, Mercedes-Benz, VW, and I've been using these cars for quite a long time. For me to contemplate, it's quite a challenge. It's Paul from Captain Park.
Morning, 702. This is Kamo here from Johannesburg. Very sad indeed. I also saw the story and read the articles regarding motors. And I have to agree with you. What they're saying is neither here nor there. They're just trying to distract us. The fact is, if the Chinese cars are selling, buy them and sell them yourselves. Why would you want to reduce people's salaries and retrench them? The fact of the matter is, and I've been punting this for as long as I can remember. You know, the problem in this country is that nobody cares about the middle class. And most of the middle class in this country, like myself, come from poor backgrounds. Now, first-time home buyers in this country are basically at around the age of 38, which means that these middle-class people that are being so overtaxed, most of us, we don't even own property. Yet we can't get tax reductions just on the first property that you purchase. Nobody cares about us, and nothing is going to happen with this modest thing because nobody in this country cares about the middle class.
Hey, morning, Clement. Simon from Randburg. I beg to differ with the previous caller who says the Chinese are paying less tax. It's actually the reverse. There's current EU trade agreements with South Africa, which allow the EU to pay less tariffs, 18% to be precise, while the Chinese are paying 25%. Only difference is the Chinese have a higher economies of scale. They can reduce their production costs, unlike the Europeans. And also the Chinese are getting subsidies for from their government. Those are the big differences. So that's why the Chinese vehicles are much less in price. It's not about tariffs. So the guy has got it wrong. All right. Thank you. Cheers.
Malibongwe, you are calling us from Midrand. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement and listeners. I just want to make 2 points, my brother. The first one being that the German cars manufactured in the country are more expensive in the country than when they are exported elsewhere. We don't get that benefit as South Africans that the car was made here in East London or in Pretoria. Why is that? So that's why I'm for the Chinese cars. And secondly, these Chinese brands, have been existing in China for more than 50 years. Their cars have never been stuck on the road. So these guys are well versed in car manufacturing. It's just that we are only seeing them here for the first time. These brands have been existing in China, globally selling cars. Their cars have never given problems. So this thing that these cars are disposable, in the next 5 years, the engine will pack up. It's not true. They've been being driven for decades in China, and nothing has happened. And secondly, my last point, South Africa has got Denel, which manufactures armored cars and aeroplanes. If South Africa is capable of building an aeroplane engine, why can't we build our own cars here? Why can't we have our own imbuzi? You know, why? How can we import a Bajaj? You mean to tell me we can't build that? People who are capable of building an engine of an aeroplane, an engine of armored cars. You want to tell me Denel can't build an Amandla, our own Quantum, our own Sipo, the Polo, we can call it Sipo, and build our own. You mean to tell me South Africa doesn't know how to build an engine of a Polo when we can build aeroplanes, the Roy Falk of this world? Best aeroplanes we can't build a car engine? What is a car engine to an aeroplane? Thank you, Clement.
Malibongwe, thank you so much in Midrand. Let's go to Gwen in Kempton Park. What are your thoughts, Gwen? Hi.
Morning, Clement. You know, these cars look fancy. They may have the latest technology. But my issue is that, you know, they are reasonable priced. But you then flock and buy these cars, and you take the competition out of the market. Economics will tell you that if you run a monopoly, then you increase your prices. So we may be enjoying the lower prices right now, but soon when the other competition is out of the market, then they are going to be hiking the prices up, and we're going to be sitting in the same situation where we're sitting now with prices that are high. And secondly, a point that I was going to mention, but somebody did mention it before, that Chinese tend to bring finished products into the country. And currently we have manufacturing points in the Eastern Cape and even here in Pretoria. And we're building the skill inside South Africa. And the Chinese bring a finished product. The other caller did say that even industries that support the manufacturing industry, they are going to suffer. So the value chain downstream is also going to suffer, in that they will not be able to provide these parts anymore, with the Chinese bringing in the final product. So those are my 2 points. Thank you.
Got it. Gwen in Kempton Park, thank you. Richard in Sandton, hi. Hello, Richard. Richard. Okay, I don't know what's happening with Richard. We'll try to re-establish that line.
Good morning, Clement. I think with the Chinese cars, the issue is affordability. The Chinese cars are affordable and they come fully loaded with nice infotainment systems, leather seats, and for a very low price. And then you go to the Germans, and the Germans, it's like you feel like when you buy a German car, everything has an extra cost. You want a seat, you will give you one seat. The other three you have to pay extra for. You want a steering wheel is extra. It's like, and you end up paying a very high amount for a very high price for a car. So I think mostly it's affordability.
Hey, Manin Clem, over in Fosloras. Clement, about your discussion about the automotive industry, I would say the Chinese are showing us, as Africans, Clement, we've been slaves for British markets, American cars and stuff. I think this is a start, Clement, in everything. Now we can see that we can break away from them, although we are going towards the Chinese. I'm not owning a Chinese car, but I'm just saying that, the German market, the Americans, like the Western, they've been dominating this market for so long. So the problem is that we are hitting their pockets. Now you are going to be in trouble. But I don't see anything wrong. As you are saying, these other Chinese companies, they are employing people to work on their dealerships. So I don't see any problem. The only problem is that we are hitting a certain market that we are not supposed to hit. Thank you.
Hi, Clement. Just want to comment on this Chinese cars issue. I think a lot of the arguments are really just pulled out of context with very little understanding. They talk about so-called Western cars. Toyota is not a Western car. Neither is Nissan. Neither is Hyundai. They're all Asian cars, and yet they're so extremely expensive compared to Chinese cars that also actually have good safety and good technology in them. And by the way, some of the so-called Western cars are actually built in China. Volvo, for example, is owned by Chery. So we need to just look at this issue, soberly, and not, be too emotional about it. Obviously, South Africa is not that dumb, to simply just let Chinese cars come into South Africa, without any benefits to it. There are people that can now afford vehicles that they could never do. It gives them mobility, which the so-called Western cars are not able to do.
There's a new way to experience all your favorites. Pulse Africa, the 24/7 fast channel, now live on primemediaplus.com and the Prime Media Plus app, bringing you the best of Prime Media around the clock. Watch the biggest moments from 7:02. It's non-stop entertainment and authentic African storytelling, all from Africa's leading media network. Pulse Africa, only on the primemediaplus.com and Prime Media Plus app.
Water is a scarce resource. That dripping tap, that overwatered lawn, it all adds up. Johannesburg Water urges you to fix on-property leaks, reuse grey water, and reduce unnecessary use. They're intensifying leak repairs and upgrading infrastructure to reduce losses. By working together and changing daily habits, water resources can be safeguarded and supply secured for future generations. Brought to you by Johannesburg Water, a water and sanitation utility that cares.
Tip your way to glory in the Hollywood Bets Punters Challenge, the free-to-play horse racing game with daily cash giveaways and massive jackpot prizes. Pick all the winners on the race card and you could win 100,000 Rand. Bet 50 Rand or more on your selections using the Bet Slip feature and you could walk away with 1 million Rand. Visit punterschallenge.hollywoodbets.net today and tip your way to the top. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008.
Brush, stroke, paint, color, protect, and admire. From roof paint to exterior textures and interior silk, Warrior Paints has it all. The product range and stylish colors are amazing. And what's more, Warrior Paints has crushed prices for incredible savings. Enjoy that good old-fashioned personal service you deserve. For price, quality, variety, and service, Warrior Paints is streets ahead. Warrior Paints. Affordable, lasting luxury.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
Several reports around at the moment suggesting that the Reserve Bank is looking at changing or reviewing the prime interest rate.
In general, I think the SARB is very conscious that the market believes it has control over it, and that's why there is now a review of what to do about it in the context of a much broader range of reforms that the SARB is doing, including to the way it implements monetary policy they did 2 years ago and the change in the inflation target that happened in November.
Peter Atteld-Montalto is the managing director at Crutham.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Curtis is brought to you by ABSA CIB. That's how we're invested in your story. Your story matters. ABSA is a registered FSP. This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. The DA's mayoral candidate for Johannesburg, Helen Zille, is expected to be sworn in as a PR councillor in the metro. The DA in Johannesburg has told EWN it's in the process of shuffling its councillor candidate list, with Zille likely to take top spots if a vacancy does open. While Zille's political career was largely been focused in the Western Cape, where she was the provincial premier and mayor of Cape Town, the 74-year-old politician was born and raised in Johannesburg. Tabiso Goba reports.
The DA in Johannesburg will be hoping to have an open vacancy for a PR councillor soon. One of his PR councillors, Bea Campbell-Klutz, is the party's candidate for the upcoming by-election in Johannesburg Ward 102. This is considered a safe DA seat, with the party having won the ward in all elections dating back to the year 2000. The DA's regional chairperson, Wendy Alexander, says Helen Zille is one of the names considered for a potential PR seat vacancy.
We have a standing list that sits with the IEC. So should a vacancy occur, then we would take the next person on the list to fill those vacancies. So we are in the process of updating that list for the remainder of this political term.
The by-election for Johannesburg's Ward 102 will take place on the 25th of February. Tabisokoba, Eyewitness News.
The Department of Agriculture plans to spend at least 1.8 billion rand over the next 2 financial years to fund its mass vaccination campaign against foot and mouth disease. The department says it will have to rejig its spending priorities to fund the program. 2 million animals have been vaccinated over the last year as the outbreak ravages livestock farming in 5 provinces. Yesterday, Minister John Steenhuisen announced the first phase of a strategy that aims to reduce outbreaks by 70% in hotspot provinces within the next 12 months. Lindsay Dentlinga takes a look.
South Africa lost its FMD-free status in 2019 after failing to keep up with local vaccine production. Minister John Steenhuisen says he can't undo the past and the decisions that led to production virtually grinding to a halt. Now he's looking to Argentina and Turkey, from which to import millions of doses of vaccines with the aim of reaching 80% of cattle populations within a year.
We're really calling on farmers and veterinarians not to use vaccines that do not come through the official channels because you could end up essentially sparking a whole new FMD outbreak.
Director General Muketsa Ramasodi says there's no specific allocation in the departmental budget to fund the vaccination program.
The funds that we'll be utilizing will be funds that will come from the department through a reprioritization process.
Steenhuisen plans to approach Cabinet soon to declare the persistent outbreak of FMD a state of disaster, which could then unlock emergency funding for the vaccination drive. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
The Limpopo government says it's stepping up responses to severe flooding after a late-night emergency meeting. The meeting included the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs as authorities look to coordinate relief, rescue and recovery efforts. Heavy rain and widespread flooding damage continues to disrupt daily life in the province. Mongezi Koko is there.
Provincial officials say the engagement focused on assessing the extent of the damage and exploring ways to secure emergency funding and support from national government. The flooding has left roads and bridges submerged, communities cut off and schools in hard-hit districts closed with learners unable to return. Kokta MEC Basikopo Makamu.
So all our teams, your Department of Public Work, your SAPS, your Social Development, the job in the province, in fact, was made aware and ready to be able to deal. Hence, we were able to rescue other people because our teams were already in place.
The provincial government says the involvement of National Kokta is aimed at fast-tracking interventions as weather conditions remain unstable and the risk to life persists. Mongezi Koko, Eyewitness News, Limpopo.
And U.S. President Donald Trump claims that he had been told the killing of protesters in Iran has stopped. Trump had repeatedly talked in recent days about coming to the aid of the Iranian people over the crackdown and protests that rights groups say has left at least 3,400 people dead. But in a surprise announcement at the White House, Trump said he had now received assurances from very important sources on the other side that Tehran had now stopped and that the executions would not go ahead.
I'm sure if it happens, we'll all be very upset, including you will be very upset, but that's just gotten to me, some information that the killing has stopped.
Meanwhile, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has dismissed reports of executions of protesters who have been on the streets since December, rallying against a soaring cost of living. In an interview with Fox News, Araghchi claimed that Israel is orchestrating the violence.
First of all, hanging is out of the question, as I said. This is another piece of misinformation campaign that they have started to provoke President Trump and to drag him into this question, and which could have disastrous consequences.
Gold is trading at $4,602.83 an ounce. The rand is at 16.41 to the dollar, 22.04 to the pound, 19.08 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $64.59 a barrel.
And traffic remains heavily backed up along the N1 North in the Randburg area between Beyaznodia Drive and Malibongo Drive. That's due to a major accident seen there. It's causing about a 20-minute hold-up. If you're traveling towards areas like Fourways as well as Kaisan, please use alternative routes like the Maikwan North. And then, of course, if you are traveling in the Bedfordview area, we've got some delays along the N3 North. This is between the Geldenhuys interchange and Van Buren Road due to another accident seen there. Please be on the lookout. It's causing about a 15-minute hold-up at this point. It could take you about 20 minutes to get to the Glulis interchange.
A cloudy day in store for Gauteng with isolated showers and thunder showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 27 and 30 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, the DA's mayoral candidate for Johannesburg, Helen Ziller, is expected to be sworn in as a PR councillor in the metro.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
Seven minutes after 10 o'clock. Dumelang, Sanbonani. Welcome to the second hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you so much for staying with us here on 702. Remember, at 11 o'clock, we're going to have our Thursday dialogue. And can you believe that we still can't say with certainty whether Iran has participated in these military drills, this naval exercise we're doing with Russia and China? No one in the SANDF wants to tell us whether they've participated or not. Everybody I've asked in the SANDF says, we're going to have a press briefing. We'll tell you about it later. So we still actually don't know if they participated. And hopefully there will be a press briefing to clarify it. But we're going to have a conversation about these joint naval exercises and whether or not they carry a political cost. And this, of course, is a follow-up from a conversation we started on the 702 open line yesterday. But right now, we start with our Hanging Out feature.
Hanging Out with Clement
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
On our Hanging Out feature today, we are hosting Nimrod Nkosi to get to know him better. Someone who has been on our screens, my goodness, for as long as I remember.
32 years.
32 years?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That is crazy. Thank you so much for making time for us. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for inviting me, man.
Yeah.
It's only a pleasure to be here.
So there are moments in my life when I remember, and I mean, I don't forget a lot how blessed I am, but there are certain moments that remind me of how blessed I am when I host or I sit with people that I grew up watching,
yeah,
and I admired and I was fans of, and I have an opportunity to sit across them. So I am very grateful for this opportunity to sit down with you.
It's only a pleasure.
Because I never thought when I was so young watching you that one day I'm going to sit with you and sit across you. So I'm very chuffed about that.
Thank you.
32 years.
Yes.
And you've somehow maintained longevity. How do you do that? It's not easy to grow up in this industry and still maintain longevity and still hold yourself. How have you been able to do it?
Let me answer that with a question. Why do you think that is?
That is what?
That is so difficult to maintain longevity.
Because I've seen other people that have fallen off the cracks.
Then you ask, why have they fallen off the cracks?
Because they've probably abused drugs and they were not focused, or maybe fame got to their head.
You see how you've just answered yourself there?
So you didn't do all of those things? You didn't do all of that?
Yeah, it's a sacrifice one makes.
Yeah.
Also, sometimes it is such an emotionally draining industry. You have to be psychologically strong. You have to have good values. You have to have good foundation in order for you to stay. And you have to see the matrix for what it is. You know, because if you compete with the matrix, that's where the problem will begin. You know, so like Neo, I go into the matrix and do whatever I want into that world because I realize it is false. And I come out of it into the reality that is my life, that I've accepted to go to Nimrod Nkosi. This is what I eat, this is what I wear, this is what I drive, this is what I aspire to, this is what my family is like. That's the reality. And that makes me happy. It's not perfect, but I am happy. I recognize that reality.
Yeah.
I do not take what I do into my reality. For example, like other people do, they cannot get out of it. They always want to be ostentatious about it.
All the time.
All the time. And they live that life. And it is a demanding life, especially with the advent of technology, of Instagram, of the world of influencing. And it truly influences you because you look at what you do not have. And you start aspiring for things that you would not normally do.
Yeah.
So you get out of track.
The metrics. I love how you've put it together. Have you always wanted to do what you ended up doing and joining the industry? I mean, how old were you when you started?
I started when I was turning 21.
Yeah, that's really young.
Yeah.
Especially at the time.
Yeah, at the time.
Now it's a thing.
Yeah, I mean, DJ Kanyane was playing at my 21st birthday.
What?
And I paid Kanyane like 500. I went to his house in Meadowlands. I'm like, DJ Kanyane, King, hi to... What's going on? I'm turning 21, dude. Can you come and DJ? And then
so cool.
you went to and there's the legend. It's like having, I don't know, Master Flex coming in and doing this for you, you know, and it was beautiful. And I've always wanted to do it. I've done e-cash, esontweni. I've always made people laugh where I stayed, drama at school. And it carried with me.
What inspired you? Like who helped you realize that you've got something special here?
I may sound like a broken record, but it is my mom. Why why? It's because her mother, my grandmother, Umaskakane, was artistic. She loved the arts. She loved opera. She loved reading. You know, she loved reading like The Saint. She loved books, and my mom was close to her. And my mom wanted to sing. She loved choral music. She loved King Kong. And those days, you know, they used to get magazines. Called my grandfather, her father, who was born in 1900, worked with a company that imported magazines, so they could see this live.
Yeah.
Your movies with Gene Kelly, Sammy Davis Jr. But my grandfather was against that. You know, was like, this is a devilish life.
Yeah.
You know, but what skipped my mom came into me.
That's so fascinating because as you go through the family tree, this saying comes to my mind that we are our ancestors' wildest dreams. And
Absolutely.
I'm like, what they were seeing in magazines, and I mean, the opportunities were not there for your grandmother or even your mom at the time, even if they would have loved to go watch or experience that or be part of it. And here you are, you've managed to at least experience that part of life. That's really incredible. I want us to play some of your favorite songs as we have our conversation.
Thank you.
And you sent us a playlist.
Yes.
Which I really love.
Yeah.
I've been listening to a lot of Tupac actually in December for some reason.
Oh man.
So maybe that's where we should begin. Why is Dear Mama such a special song to you?
I mean, Pac and his mom are very close. I mean, I love Pac's mom's activism in the neighborhood, you know, being part of the Black Panthers, and how Pac felt it his responsibility to take care of his mom. You know, he says, I hope you got a little money that I sent to you. You know what I mean? Because some part was missing in his life, which was a male figure, which was his dad. That's why he was adopted by Mr. Shakur. You know, but in my part, I did not have that bond with my dad. So I gravitated to my mom. And the absence in itself was hurtful, because you wanna emulate your dad. The young lions wanna emulate the males, so you don't get that. But my mom got me, because his life, his lineage, he did not have the things that I would pick from him that would make me happy. He loved things I didn't love, you know, and here I was that my mom would be discussing Maru. You know, he'll say, read Maru for me, and I'll sit there and I'll read. You know, my mom would say, oh, you're doing Shakespeare at school? I say, yes, I'm doing Shakespeare. And then he said, okay, go on, give me one of his sonnet, and then I'll start. Let me not into the marriage of true minds. And then she would look at me she'll sit there in a tear like, you know, I have my audience. But when it comes to dad, it's like, don't waste your time. There was always a negative thing about what I wanted to do. So I shifted emotionally from my father as well, because I wasn't being watered there, you know. So it's not a thing like you decide which you're going to choose the other parent. But if the other parent is not nurturing, even if you don't believe that this thing you're acting at that time would pay you, but it is your duty as my steward to help me realize that.
Absolutely.
You all appreciate it. When I was young, me and my mama had beef, 17 years old, kicked out on the streets. Though back at the time, I never thought I'd see her face. Ain't a woman alive that could take my mama's place. Suspended from school, I'm scared to go home. I was a fool with the big boys, breaking all the rules. Shed tears with my baby sister. Over the years, we was poor than other little kids. And even though we had different daddies, the same drama when things went wrong, we blame mama. I reminisce on the stress I caused. It was hell, hugging on my mama from a jail cell. And who thinking elementary? Hey, I see the penitentiary one day. running from the police, that's right. Mama catch me, put a whoop into my backside. And even as a crack fiend, mama, you always was a black queen, mama. I finally understand for a woman it ain't easy trying to raise a man. You always was committed, a poor single mother on welfare. Tell me how you did it, there's no way I can pay you back. But the plan is to show you that I understand. You all appreciate it.
Don't you know we love you, sweet
dear mama.
Place no one above you, sweet.
You all appreciate it.
Don't you know we love you?
Now ain't nobody tell us it was fair. No love for my daddy cause the coward wasn't there. He passed away and I didn't cry cause my anger wouldn't let me feel for a stranger. They say I'm wrong and I'm heartless, but all along I was looking for a father, he was gone. I hung around with the thugs, and even though they sold drugs, they showed a young brother love. I moved out and started really hanging. I needed money of my own, so I started slanging. I ain't guilty cause even though I sell rocks, it feels good putting money in your mailbox. I love paying rent when the rent's due. I hope you got the diamond necklace that I sent to you. Cause when I was low, you was there for me. You never left me alone because you cared for me. And I can see you coming home after work late. You're in the kitchen trying to fix us a hot plate. You're just working with the scraps you was given. And mama made miracles every Thanksgiving. But now the road got rough, you're alone. You're trying to raise two bad kids on your own. And there's no way I can pay you back. But my plan is to show you that I understand. You all appreciate it.
Don't you know we love you, sweet.
And dear mama,
place no one above you, sweet.
You all appreciate it.
Don't you know we love you?
Pour out some liquor and I reminisce. Cause through the drama I can always depend on my mama. And when it seems that I'm hopeless, you say the words that can get me back in focus. When I was sick as a little kid, to keep me happy there's no limit to the things you did. And all my childhood memories are full of all the sweet things you did for me. And even though I act crazy, I gotta thank the Lord that you made me. There are no words that can express how I feel. You never kept a secret, always stayed real. And I appreciate how you raised me and all the extra love that you gave me. I wish I could take the pain away. If you can make it through the night, there's a brighter day. Everything will be alright if you hold on. It's a struggle every day, gotta roll on. And there's no way I can pay you back. But my plan is to show you that I understand. You all appreciate it.
Don't you know we love you, sweet.
Dear mama,
place no one above you, sweet.
You all appreciate it.
Don't you know we love you, sweet.
And dear mama, dear mama.
Clem, wow, 3 decades in the industry. What a legend Pranim is. Congratulations, Buti. I wanted to very quickly share, I grew up at the Methodist Church Yase, Orlando East, and Pranim will know the significance of this. And he, at the height of his Jam Alley fame, and just as his career was really soaring, used to frequently come to church with his mom. And Pranim, I wanted to tell you, maybe this is a tribute to you and your mother, Oguti, that act really stayed with me because we sometimes lose sight of the impact it has on people we don't know are watching. To think, wow, I can be so great and still belong and remember that I belong to a place such as this. So thank you for being that person. Thank you to your mom for raising you to be that person. And as a mother of boys now, it's inspired me to continue to do that. And I visit Esontweni, Orlando East when I can and as often as I can. Congratulations. We love you. You are a national treasure.
Oh, man. Thank you so much.
That takes you back.
Oh, man. Methodist Church. Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
What was it for you, the need to go back and like go home, so to speak?
Well, look, it's always you go to where your foundation is. You grow as a person in faith and in your spiritual outlook. you know, and there, that's where everything all began. You know, used to get, my mom was a Sunday school teacher as well, you know, and sometimes she'd leave me with the class. So you knew you had a scripture to read and to translate the scripture, what it meant, and then you have to say it to the other children. And then there'll be a Sunday school time where we are preaching to their church. And I'll be the one, Notogozan, who would prepare the sermon for the main sermon. And then at Methodist, you know, it's 2 scriptures that are read, I think even today, because it's methodical. And I would come and I would say, today, this is what we are going to talk about. And then Notogozane would be the interpreter, as they do in church.
Yeah.
So that's where my love really for the gospel took over, and it's always moms that want you to go to church, or grandmothers.
Yeah.
You know, it's always on a Sunday. Just go to church.
You have to go to church on a Sunday. So I really am interested in how the differences you see today and back then, because I mean you came into the industry when the country was trying to still find its direction, so to speak. I mean, when you look at Gemelli, it shaped a generation of young South Africans. What do you think even like a show like that meant and gave young people what was missing at the time?
The sense of hope that the talents they have will have a platform. You know, that this will work, this will pay me one day. I'm not crazy in Limpopo wanting to be an actor. I'm not crazy at Uwa wanting to be a television presenter. You know, I'm not crazy in Kangala to want to be in this, whether it's stage, whether it's television. So when Gemelli came through, what was beautiful about Red Pepper Pictures, that I always say, is that, look, there's no script, but you do this one does this one does that, commercial break. What you do in between, it's up to you what you do. So now, already it's script writing.
Yeah.
It's audience interaction.
Yes.
You know, and then you do that without trying to be someone else.
Yeah.
You know,
you have no option.
You have no option but to be authentic.
Yeah.
So mangukuhleka eGML.
Genuinely
ngiyahleka seriously. And when I give you the R1 instead of 500 rand,
it's how it's
I
really
give you a rand.
But you guys look like you were having fun.
That's the thing.
Because you can tell sometimes when people are presenting that, the structure here.
Yeah.
With you guys, it really looked like you were just having lots of fun.
They let us do that. And so when we were dancing, when Abomandla speaker came and we had fun, it was truly that the adrenaline was beautiful. The moment was innocent. It was not corrupted by being conceited.
Yes. Being conceited.
Yeah, I wasn't presenting in that way, like, look at me, I'm presenting.
Yeah, you were in the moment.
I was in the moment.
Isn't it fascinating? Like, does it fascinate you sometimes when you reflect? Because at the time, there were artists you guys hosted that went further to really do so well. But when they came, they were still really new in the industry. They were still finding their ground.
Yeah.
And now you look at them now and you're like, my goodness, do people know where this person comes from?
Exactly. Like, I mean, I look at the Judith Sipuma and I look at the late Mandoza. Ntokozo Masing, Joe Nina. I look at many artists that passed by. Slicker was a contestant on Gemelli, and he didn't really want. He said, I still remember, he reluctantly did a Puffy song. The Sting. The Sting thingy. Every step I take. And you can see Slicker it doesn't want to do it.
How old was he then?
You know, he was very,
very young, yeah?
You know, and you can see. And somehow in my mind I can see that, okay, this is a hip-hop head.
Yeah.
And I think in his mind he's saying, let me do this, but I'm selling out because this is not the hip-hop I like.
I want, yeah.
I interpreted it like that. So when you see Slicker being Slicker into himself, it's only a pleasure that I could have been part of their life, unbeknownst to them.
Yeah. Given how young you were, how did that level of visibility and responsibility affect you personally?
Things were innocent then. Things weren't as they are today. You know, the only thing would be getting into a taxi, right? And if you have me in that taxi, you must know ukuthi ngaphakathi kwaleya taxi kumnandi kuno sheriff. You know, mawuqala ungena, everyone starts suspecting aksu uye sorry mntanami wena sheriff yebo Nkosi yami awuyenza lento nthini, and then you have to act the scene, right? Aye bangani aye, and then aye, and then the driver would be like, oh damn, I'm carrying someone that's known, and now you're in that, you're enjoying it. And then when mangehle Oakton Park, baba yes, and then say namyantanda, and then you get into the SAPC, you know what I mean? It was innocent then, but the values that I had was from, again, my mom, Umantangisa, to say, your name shall put you in front of great kings and emperors. It's the name that you did not make. It was, you took it. Do not destroy it. It comes from this man in your genealogy. Do not destroy it in your time. So I never wanted to destroy the name.
Yeah. I like that. I like that so much. But I'm also a bit saddened by how things have changed, because at the time, people are able to embrace you like that in a taxi. I remember a few years back when I think it was one of the presenters at Yo TV was in a taxi and someone took a picture to degrade them, to say, oh, look, they're so famous there, but bahamba ngeteksi uye emsebenzini.
Yeah.
I'm just contrasting that with the moment you had to just demonstrate that point of how things have changed.
Yeah, absolutely. But even now, I mean, there is that type of bullying, you know. And I read somewhere, I never really do read a lot of things on the internet, you know, because some people do not know anything about this industry, and they let their feelings just go. And you must be wise enough to sift.
Yeah.
You know, because if that means so much to you to be rejected, it's going to hurt you, and this person stays so far away, they'll never see you.
And yet they've got such an impact
and they've
on you.
got you.
Yeah.
You know, and then like someone says, LLB is nothing without Ukuku. You know, I don't mean any offense. And I'm like, no offense taken. And then you think, oh, but if Ukuku did that show alone, was it a one-man show? Yeah, you know, it wasn't a one-man show. But I understand what you are trying to say, but realistically in that world. So if you do not have the maturity of emotion and understanding where the fan comes from, that might set you, like, you might be upset the whole day.
Yeah.
Wow. Dude, I gave my best for that show. If anything, damn, remove me from that show and see where.
And it's gone.
Yeah, remove me. And then, it's the current type of, and some people can just say things to upset you.
True.
Because they're not you.
Yeah. And don't give them that power.
And don't give them that power.
Yeah.
They'll never be you.
True. 10:32, time for the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. We are getting to know Nimrod Nkosi on our Hanging Out feature this morning. If you've got a question for him or you want to say hello, you can send us a WhatsApp voice note on 072-702-1702 or call us. Call us on 011-883-0702. Swiso, hi.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. At least 1,427 people died on the country's roads during the festive season. This represents a 5% reduction in fatalities compared to the previous December break. This morning, the Transport Department released the festive season road safety report for the 2025-2026 period. A decision on whether the CCTV footage capturing the murder of media personality DJ Waras should be brought to court will be made at 2 p.m. This is as the man accused of orchestrating the DJ's murder, whose real name was Warwick Stock, appears in the Joburg Magistrates Court for the continuation of his bail hearing. Soweto taxi boss Victor Majola is charged with conspiracy to commit murder and the premeditated murder of Stock. And an Iranian arrested during a wave of protests whose NGOs and the US had warned faced imminent execution has not been sentenced to death and is not facing charges that risk the death penalty. Efran Soltini is in prison in Karaj outside Tehran after his arrests and is facing charges of propaganda against Iran's Islamic system and acting against national security. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 11 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by South African Airways. It's nearly time to head back to university, so why hit the road when you can fly? Book at flysaa.com now. Amu, how are we looking on the roads?
Well, Clement, we've got an accident in Bedfordview. It's on the N3 North. It happened right near Van Buren Road. It's causing heavy delays, about a 20-minute hold-up. This is just as you're coming out of the Geldenhuys interchange. If you're heading towards areas like Edenville, do you expect about a 30-minute delay? And then if you're traveling in Randburg, we've got another accident scene reported on the N1 North. It's right near Malibongo Drive. Delays coming out of Beyers Nodia Drive, so please be on the lookout there. In Midrand, we've got some delays reported on the N1 South approaching New Road. This is due to the roadworks that are taking place along this route. There's also roadworks in Boksburg along the N17 East approaching Rondebolt Road. Please be on the lookout there and approach with care. Traffic lights are still out of order in Sandton at the M1 and Grayston Drive. They're also out in Edenville at Modderfontein Road and Van Riebeck, as well as in Sandown at Main Road and Witkappen Road, causing some issues there. Please be on the lookout and continue driving with care. More updates at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Matric class of 2025, ready to spread your wings? South African Airways makes your uni journey easier with all-inclusive one-way fares from Johannesburg to Durban from 690 Rand, from Johannesburg to Gqeberha from 655 Rand, and from Johannesburg to Cape Town from 1,144 Rand. Plus, pack more of what you need with 2 checked bags instead of 1. On sale until the 12th of February. So travel by the 12th of February 2026. Book now at flysaa.com. T's and C's apply.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays
12 to 1.
The Freedom Front Plus has been calling foot and mouth outbreak to be declared a national disaster. Dr. Boshoff, what is your reaction to what the minister has had to say in this briefing?
We are glad that he's approaching the cabinet for declaring the disaster state that we asked for, because this is not the kind of challenge that the industry can shoulder on its own. That's a kind of thing that should have really started to have attention, say, 2 or 3 years ago.
Dr. Vincent Boshoff, FF Plus MP.
The Midday Report.
With Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Need a seat? Try 7 or 5. It's your call. Want a sunroof? Make it a panoramic. Gotta have power? How does award-winning 138 kilowatt sound? The Changan CS75 Pro is big enough for the kids, smart enough for your playlist, and stylish enough for your Friday night too. Why settle when you can have it all without compromise? The Changan CS75 Pro. Drive tomorrow's SUV today. Visit changanmotors.co.za for more.
Changan, driven to evolve.
Outsurance business insurance, the cost was far less. I even have better benefits.
Outsurance business insurance clients know that it pays to switch. And did you know you get 24/7 access to panic assistance, roadside assistance, and even office assistance for guest houses, catering companies, and all other businesses. Get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to Outsurance business insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online. Limits apply.
Hanging out with Clement
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
23 minutes before 11 o'clock. Nimrod Nkosi is our guest on our Hanging Out feature this morning. I see your calls and your WhatsApps coming through. I'll come to them in a moment. One thing that's always impressed me with you is the different languages you speak. How many languages can you speak?
I speak maybe ngikhuluma isiZulu, Swati, isiXhosa, Tshivenda, isiTsonga, isiNdebele ngiyasizwa.
Oh, uyasikhuluma isiNdebele.
Ngiyasizwa
Ngiyasizwa.
Yeah, ngiyasizwa isiNdebele.
Awusirithi uyasizwa nje.
No.
Awudla umratha
ngiyidluma. No. Sisuthu, Setswana.
How? I mean, I get it. A lot of people who come from Soweto are very multilingual. But there are also other people who will push like 3. But I mean, that's a lot of languages. Were you intentional about it, or it was more, I grew up in an environment where everybody spoke different languages?
It was that, but intentional also for the craft that I was getting into, you know. But I sometimes make it deliberate when I'm offered a Sesotho part. Yes, kuyasibuya Sesotho, but ngeke kaya mole kailo actor as Mosotho, because I don't want to compromise the nuances, the beautiful language that is Sesotho, so that it irritates the viewer. You know, nama ngithanda umuntu bathatha umSotho ngoba famous. Badlala iphathi yesiZulu. Uyezwa nje ukuthi ayikhulumayo nje cha la
bathi buye emlazi.
The character. Yekela baba, yekela. I'd rather have integrity ethile. But if it's a small part, then I'll take it. But if it's a defining lead role, I'll let go of it. Yes, I'll lose money, but I'll rather be authentic and true and not offend the people. Chivenda is beautiful because at Pimville, it was a mixture of abantu abasebenza eJoburg who stayed at Pimville. Ababakhela izindlu eSoweto.
I see. Let's go to some WhatsApps. 072-702-1702.
Bonjour, Clem.
Bonjour.
And to the OG, the legend himself, Nimrod Nkosi. Clement, you're chilling with the original OG, Lapo, you know, when I Clem. And I would like to ask Nimrod Nkosi, you know, what role did Ifuba play on his TV career? And can we still have such institutions such as Ifuba? All right, big ups. Thank you.
Sure. What a question. Very beautiful question. I chose Ifuba. I wanted to go to vets, but I was very militant growing up. You know, partly the frustrations with my dad, but partly also learning about umzabalazo and what was happening. I was conscious of what was happening. I knew there was apartheid. I knew there was State Mashinini. I knew there were freedom fighters, you know, not only here, but overseas. That's how open-minded I was. You know, so when I saw that there was the Federation Union for Black Arts, then I chose that deliberately. In my mind, I'm thinking Doke House, I'm thinking the Avalon, I'm thinking so many things. I'm thinking market. Here's the school, it's an art school. It's not the Johannesburg Art School, but it is primarily Afrocentric in its nature and its DNA. And that's what I wanted. And there, I got to meet this man with dreadlocks. We always, as actors, because they were actors, fine arts, artists, the musicians, that's what Judith Sapuma was. And there is this person playing a piano. We would later know as Moses Muleleko.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? And after acting classes and then it's music, we'll go up to the music just to listen to this guy who played this piano. And then you're thinking Abdullah Ibrahim. And you're thinking, who's this young man? And then all of a sudden he's with Kabelo, dum, 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 dum. But I think such institutions need to return where you delve into the African nature of the arts, you know, the performing arts. It's good to learn your Shakespeare. It's good to learn to be well-rounded as an artist, but it's nice to have those places where there's indigenous knowledge systems in the arts. I mean, a legend who stayed in that Umamutu Nokwe, stayed in that. Abo Babu Pus Kemis, you know, to study a thing about ubaba uphuzikhemisi, about umfazi omnyama. You know, angeke kuthiwe kune lecture ngazi ke evese ukuthi khona lecture la kuzongena khona kumamela ukuthi kahle kahle isiginci shaya umfazi omnyama as a left-handed man, and the way he killed that guitar, as we would study Eric Clapton, you know what I'm saying, or Bob Dylan. You know, I wanted that environment as well.
I love that.
Hi, Clement. Say hello to Mr. Nimrod. He frequents our church, John Bosco Catholic in Robertsham. A very humble soul. And only to find out last week, Atsamayale Sitlogolo Sache, only to find out Sitlogolo Sache was in the same school, same class with my son from Macaulay House to German school. They were in the same class and same school, Macaulay House and German school. He's a very, very humble person. All the best, Mr. Nimrod. Tato from the South. Thank you.
Hey, Clement. My name's Nat Ramaphosa. I'm an actor. And you have with you someone that I really, really, truly admire from work, from a personal perspective. You know, our industry is filled with, well, not filled, but there's not so many older people you can look up to or feel comfortable with. They either feel intimidated by you, or they either just so bitter and have been so messed up by this industry that it's hard to really engage with, or, you know, just really talk with on a human level. And Mr. Nimrod Nkosi, he is just one of the most decent, unassuming, most humble human beings that I've come across. And I just want to give a shout out and say, hello, Mr. Nimrod. Man, I love you, and just keep up the great work. Thanks.
Mr. Nkosi, Nimrod Nkosi, thank you. We're from the same high school, St. Anders. St. Anders represent. Thank you for coming to our school and judging our pageants and that. You are so awesome. I remember that. Thank you very much. Mr. Nimrod Nkosi, St. Anders High.
Oh my God.
They're taking you back.
They're taking me back. I like to thank Ned.
Yeah.
I revere him.
What a cool guy.
What a cool
Talented.
guy. Brilliant. Oh my gosh. The range, Ned. You know, and when I tell him this, he's like, but now you're my cheerleader. It's Ned. You are brilliant. It is in your own time. Some of us are looking at you and are saying, you know what? I'm gonna try and match that. You know what I mean? Look at this beautiful actor or actress. You know, I don't think there's anything wrong with sharing love and respect for one another. You know what I mean? And he's right. You'll find some that are just, you know, disillusioned because it's the threat of growing up in this industry. Are they going to write meaningful parts? Morgan Freeman is 100, but he's no, but there he is in different series. You know what I mean? Larry Fishburne. You know, I can go to the guy that played Peoples in Shaft with Samuel L. Jackson. I mean, he's a beautiful, beautiful actor. Samuel L. Jackson himself started when he was 40, 41. You know what I mean? And he's still there. And to watch movies like Driving Miss Daisy, when you look at your African-American actors that you love, that are older now, James L. Jones was, but he was beautiful. But you find this side, it's like, it's your dawn, it's your sunset. You know, the audience is younger. We'll give you a line there and there. Is there a concerted effort to write, to imagine something different that has older people in there? Robert De Niro is old. You know what I'm saying? Joe Pesci is old. But Scorsese calls on them because the writing is beautiful. The storytelling is, and it's imaginative. It's not stereotypical cut and paste type of shows. You know.
Barbara Norman, you calling from Johannesburg. Good morning.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Nimrod.
Miss Norman.
Me.
How are you?
Oh my goodness, I'm just so thrilled to speak to you. I'm from St. Enders.
Yes.
And then also, do you remember on the stage?
We had a play.
Came and spoke.
Yes.
And I had a unlock. Remember?
I do. Absolutely. I still have the pictures.
The 1980s.
Oh my gosh, Miss Norman, such a pleasure to hear from you, my love.
I can't tell you. I'm in the car, actually, and I just happened to hear you.
Yeah.
I have to say hello.
Hi, thank you so much, Miss Norman.
Continue with the wonderful work you're doing.
Oh, thank you, ma'am.
You're always outstanding student. Always.
Oh,
You
wow.
stood out from the others because of your personality. I always remember that.
And look at him now.
Thank you.
Wow.
Take care.
You too, Miss Norman. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Miss Norman. Yeah, look at the way you address her is like back then when you're in class. So, wow, she taught you history in matric.
Yes, because I
At St.
decided
Andrews.
to make, no,
Not for me.
But this
Yeah.
is storytelling history.
Yeah.
And she said, leave it, then do history. And we did a play. And what was beautiful about Miss Norman is this how, it was just in the dawn of democracy. And I played a street sweeper in that play. I still have the pictures. And she directed us so beautifully and said, no, do what you do. Because I don't know what you live like. What would a street sweeper in the new South Africa do? And I had Martin Luther King that you should sweep the street as Michelangelo would do this. You know what I'm saying? And we did a wonderful play with her. I have fond memories of her. If there's one teacher, there's two teachers, Gloria Castellan, our English teacher, and Miss Norman, that truly believed in me. Gloria wrote back in 92 that one day you will win an award, you will remember this moment. And I won 2 awards for Best Television Presenter. And that letter, I still have it.
She said that to you?
She wrote a letter. I still have it. Gloria, she's an amazing and such a big part of my life.
Wow, Miss Norman, thank you.
My gosh.
Yeah, these people play a very critical role in the development of our skills, in helping us also see and notice the passion or the talent that we may not even see at the time in ourselves.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. Thank you for that call, Miss Norman.
Good morning, Ntate Clement, my favorite person, Ntate Nimrod. O ke godileng ke golela matlong a gago a le mo screening from Gem Early. Se nka se lebogang thata se bile ke motlotlo ka sone le ka ene ke the bulldog mo na thututsa a ke tsa ke ba sentle Mzambia ka dipina tse di monate mo albumeng ya gagwe se ntse re tshameka di cassette modimo a mpolokele wena ya leboga.
Nimrod Nkosi since 1997, 96, 97, if I'm not mistaken, watching you and Vinolia Masheho on Selimatonzi, Dugu, Selimatonzi. I go to go on cars and Pinchia, Marcel Figure Lagulezes. Kutwain abefundisi hayi lapha yawo awungishayile empintshi yami lapha ya abefundisi hayi wayungayiphindi liyashoka kanti.
Hi Clement, we grew up calling him Nhlanhla.
Yes.
Yeah, with Abu Neo Reggie.
Who's this?
Lucas and Lucas's brother Mzela and
Haibo.
all the guys in Pinville. Yeah, brings back memories. And the love that he has for his mom, it's unprecedented. Great man. Cheers. Bye.
Yo, Clem, Tato here. You're hanging out with one of the most upstanding, dopest sheriffs in the history of sheriffs, because sheriff is a bow. Listen, man, Nimrod, you guys were doing what youth needed in terms of look at other people like me making it in media at a time when it was most needed in this country. I mean, I look at the work that you guys did, that YFM did, and I think, if anything, we gave hope where there were kids that felt like I can have a chance of getting into this industry or making it in the industry. I also want to thank you, Le Oscar, for trusting us with some of your hits on our breakfast show on YFM. Because a lot of your songs were broken on our tiny little regional station when there were so many nationwide stations that you could have trusted with some of those songs that became hits. Love you, my brother. Respect.
Love it too, Fresh.
Beautiful. Oh, we haven't even played a song. you see why I said to you?
Yes.
Okay, let's do another song.
But you see, I'm not saying this. NgesiZulu kuthiwa you'll be followed by ibongo zakho, what you have left. What angisaphila ngisezwa people speaking like I didn't say they must say this. But if you live honestly, impact people authentically and with truth, inspire people, that is the design purpose yakho. Mark Twain says this: the day you are born and the day you find out why.
Absolutely. Bob Marley, Redemption Song, is one of Nimrod's favorite songs.
All pirates, yes, they rob I, sold I to the merchant ships. Minutes after they took I from the bottomless pit, but my hand was made strong by the hand of the Almighty. We forward in this generation triumphantly. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever have, redemption songs, redemption songs. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop the time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Ooh, some say it's just a part of it. We've got to fulfill the book. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever have, redemption songs, redemption songs, redemption songs. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind. Oh, have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop at the time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Yes, some say it's just a part of it. We've got to fulfill the book. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever have, redemption songs. All I ever have,
oh man,
redemption songs.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Bobby.
Oh man.
It's amazing. I just
None but ourselves can free our minds.
I mean, they try to kill, and then it goes back to the concert and says, people that try to destroy the world don't sleep. Those of us want to build it. Why are we sleeping? You know, I just want to give a shout out to Ufresh when I organized a concert in Lesotho.
Uh-huh.
That's why your name, people trust you. I mean, at Alaska, I'm saying I don't have the money. You'll be paid in Lesotho. Nimza, because it's you, we coming. And the entire Alaska comes. DJ Fresh comes to Lesotho based on who I am. Drives, he had a car, a blue car, he had big dog number plates. He breaks the song Summer Days there. You know what I mean? And other groups that came purely because you're Nimrod Nkosi. And I can trust you.
That's beautiful, man. Nimrod,
So,
thank you so much for coming through. Thank you for inspiring us. And I'm glad we can give you flowers when you are still alive.
And I receive them with love and humility. May God bless you and the light follow you wherever you go.
God bless you, brother.
Thank you, sir.
2 minutes before 11.
So, does your loan pay you back? With the Nedbank personal loan, you can cover education costs and get 200 Rand cash back every month when you open a My Goals Plus or premium account with your loan. That's extra cash to help with life's monthly extras. Now that's a loan that pays you back. Visit nedbank.co.za or search Nedbank personal loans today. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We're also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comment, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we're not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission, PO Box 412365, Craig Hall 2024. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. At least 1,427 people died on the country's roads during the festive season. This represents a 5% reduction in fatalities, and that's compared to the previous December break. The Transport Department has this morning released a festive season road safety report for the 2025-26 period.
There was a notable increase in fatalities from the 15th to the 28th of December. These 2 weeks contributed more than 40% to crashes and fatalities. And this confirms that festive season crashes and fatalities increase once travelers reach their final destination and are engaged in festivities rather than during the peak travel period.
A decision on whether the CCTV footage capturing the murder of media personality DJ Waris should be brought to court will be made at 2 p.m. This as the man accused of orchestrating the DJ's murder, whose real name was Warwick Stock, appears in the Johannesburg Magistrates Court for the continuation of his bail hearing. Soweto taxi boss Victor Majola is charged with conspiracy to commit murder and the premeditated murder of Stock. The media personality was shot and killed in Joburg CBD last month. Oren Singh reports.
Yesterday, Victor Majola's attorney, Dumisani Mabunda, made an application to have the CCTV footage showing the moments leading up to the murder of Warwick Stock be brought to court. This after it was alleged that Majola, accused of orchestrating Stock's murder, is seen in the footage together with the unidentified gunman loitering around Vonwielig Street in Joburg CBD about 45 minutes before Stock is gunned down. Mabunda and senior state prosecutor Vincent Magwenya argued over whether the court should order for the footage to be brought before it. Magwenya claims that the footage is at SAPS's forensic lab in Pretoria and not readily available. Magistrate Annalise Tlapi will make a ruling on the application at 2 p.m. Aaron Singh, Eyewitness News.
5 suspects are appearing in court for the murder of 2 women from Orange Farm, Ntokozo Mazibuko and Andiswa Sontangane, both aged 25, who were last seen on New Year's Eve after leaving home in their vehicle in Porky. Police say one of the victims' mother received a ransom demand, and days later, the decomposing bodies of the victims were found in a veld in the area. The police's Demakatso Nebuwului says an unlicensed firearm was recovered during the arrest.
The preliminary investigation led the team to Brad's, where they discovered the victim's vehicle abandoned at a car wash. The vehicle was fixed with false number plates but had the correct disc number. The firearm will be subjected to ballistic testing to determine whether it has been used in the commission of crime.
And an Iranian man arrested during a wave of protests whose NGOs and the US had warned faced imminent execution has not been sentenced to death and is not facing charges that risk the death penalty. Ifran Soltani is imprisoned in Karaj outside Tehran after his arrest and is facing charges of propaganda against Iran's Islamic system and acting against national security. The judiciary says if he is convicted, the punishment, according to the law, will be imprisonment, as the death penalty does not exist for such charges. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has dismissed reports of executions of protesters who have been on the streets since last month, rallying against a soaring cost of living. In an interview with Fox News, Araghchi claimed that Israel is actually orchestrating the violence.
First of all, hanging is out of the question, as I said. This is another piece of misinformation campaign that they have started to provoke President Trump and to drag him into this question, and which could have disastrous consequences.
Gold is trading at $4,602.83 an ounce. The rand is at 16.41 to the dollar, 22.04 to the pound, 19.08 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $64.59 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we still have got that major accident scene in the Rheinbeck area. It's really a major one, so please try to avoid the scene. It's causing about a 20-minute hold-up between Beyers Nodia Drive and Malibongo Drive. Please use alternative routes if you're heading towards areas like Ferndale as well as Begauri. Please try to use Georges Avenue, Malibongo Drive, as well as Republic Road within the inner city areas. And then if you're traveling in the east of Joburg, we've got an accident scene reported on the N3 North. It's near Van Buren Road. Delays coming out of the Geldenhuys interchange.
A cloudy day in store for Gauteng with isolated showers and thunder showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 27 and 30 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: at least 1,427 people died on the country's roads during the festive season.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
Seven minutes after 11 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the third and final hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702. Let's get straight into our Thursday dialogue feature.
The Dialogue with Clement Manyathela.
It's not just another roundtable discussion.
Let's walk the talk on 702.
It's actually a follow-up from the conversation we started yesterday on the 702 open line. I've invited two experts to help us understand where we find ourselves now as South Africa in this changing, in fact, rapidly changing geopolitical environment. And what I'm asking you this morning is whether South Africa's joint naval exercise with Iran, China, and Russia carry a political cost. I mean, there's still no clarity over whether South Africa has managed to persuade Iran to be an observer rather than an active participant. But all indications are that this exercise ends today, and it looks like they still somehow sent their ships. So maybe there's been some misunderstanding, or it's been intentional, or maybe they refused to withdraw, or maybe there wasn't an instruction for them to withdraw as participants and maintain that observer status. Who knows? But how are we going to know if the SANDF is also not clarifying that for us? As I said earlier, they indicated that they are likely to have a press briefing, so we wait for that. But this joint naval drill involving several members of the BRICS bloc, including China, Russia, is currently taking place in Simonstown in the Western Cape, and it's really garnered global attention, well, maybe even controversy. But there are also fears that this could further strain Pretoria's diplomatic relations with Washington. These drills on rescue and maritime strike operations and technical exchanges involve warships from the participating countries and comes amid strained relations between South Africa and the United States. And as we discussed yesterday on the open line, these things are sort of organized like a way in advance, probably about a year or year and a half in advance. But some have indicated that given the timing, maybe it wasn't a great idea for us to continue with Iran as an active participant. What are your thoughts? 011-883-0702 is the number to dial, or send a WhatsApp on 072-702-1702. Professor David Monyae is the director of the Center for Africa-China Studies at the University of Johannesburg, who is joining us for this conversation. Prof, thank you so much for making time for us. Good morning.
Good morning, and good morning to listeners. Thank you for having me.
We also have Professor Abel Esterhuizer, who is a defense expert and associate professor of strategy in the Faculty of Military Science at the University of Stellenbosch University. Prof, thank you so much for also joining us. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement, and good morning to the listeners.
Professor Monyae, is this a mere military exercise or a statement among the BRICS group of nations?
There are a number of reasons. I think first and foremost, it is important to say it quite clearly. Nations are not run based on views of other nations. South Africa has an independent foreign policy, and therefore it's a member of BRICS Plus, and BRICS Plus as a club has a set of rules and set of agreements in terms of cooperation in trade, social, sport, including Navy. It's part of that. And therefore, South Africa as a member, it's signed up to all of the above. And constant views that are coming. South Africa, I think, in recent years, ever since it joined BRICS, it has been getting this kind of patronizing view that any action it takes, it has to somehow consider other nations. I mean, that in itself is problematic. However, I think in my own view is that perhaps a better explanation is required so that the nation is taken in confidence in terms of why is South Africa doing what it is doing. I think that is the most important. Whether United States or Bolivia or anyone else think of that, it's neither here nor there in my own view.
Yeah. Professor Esterhuizer, the reports have suggested that South Africa is hoping to persuade Iran to become an observer rather than an active participant. We don't know if really they agreed, or if Iran continued to participate. Some reports suggest that they continued to participate. But do you think that, and especially if that is the case, do you think then our government overlooked the sensitivities of how these exercises may be viewed by the U.S. president? And should that even matter? Should the U.S. really be considered in what we do with other countries we have bilateral relations with?
I want to tie in with what David said, and of course what he said is absolutely spot on. But I think it's also important to understand that whatever militaries do has political implications. Militaries always operates within the political realm, and whether that is the chief of the South African military visiting Iran just to confirm the arrangements for this exercise, as we have seen last year. And there was quite a strong political knock-on effect because of that. And so I just want to make that point that there's a lot of political, let's say, cost, let's call it signaling, let's call it messaging, attached to what militaries do. I think that's the first point I want to make. The second point I want to make is that, and David will know precisely what I'm talking about here, if I say that we as academics do have academic freedom to say whatever we want at universities. Yet, we're also thinking about what we are saying, because you don't really want to hurt the relations. You don't want to hurt other people. You cannot say everything that's on your mind, if I can put it like that. And I view international relations very much in the same manner, because we are sitting with a situation where this week we are considering the legislation in the US that will tie Africa once again into the American market and giving us access. We are sitting with a positive trade balance with Europe and the US. Whereas our trade balances with countries like India and China is actually a negative trade balance. And so, yes, I agree with him, but governments also benefit from being slightly more diplomatic. And this is the third point that I want to make. And that is the point that I think we have seen international affairs catching up with this exercise. Militaries plan these exercises, and militaries often conduct these exercises. There's nothing strange pertaining to an exercise between South Africa, China, Russia, wherever. We also do exercises with the Americans and the British and the Indians, and there's nothing strange about that. But what I think is the problem here is that international relations, international realities, if I can put it like that, international realities have caught up with the operational planning of this exercise. And I think our government and our military should have had a bit more flexibility in changing and saying, let's be soft on this, because it is affecting our relations with other countries here.
Yeah, and speaking of India and other countries, Professor Munyai, I mean, two of the founding members of the BRICS bloc, India and Brazil, are not participating in the naval drills. Brazil has joined as an observer. India has completely stayed away, in my understanding. What do you make of India's absence? Are they also probably making their own diplomatic calculations and observing and appreciating these sensitivities?
No, indeed. I think the Indians have made it quite clear that they are both with the Western world in terms of military alliances, as well as a member with global South countries. But when it comes to South Africa does not join alliances. It's not attached to Western, nor does it attach to any other in the East, whether Russia or China. However, it strongly believes in strategic autonomy, independent foreign policy, and the need to have a multipolar world order. And I think what we're discussing here is all about power that my colleague is mentioning. That when we do drilling with the United States and Western countries, there's absolutely no issue. We don't have shows of this nature. It's only when Russia or China comes in. What does it tell us about who controls the narrative globally? It is the Western world that set the agenda, that tells us who should we be doing drills with. And there's also an element of territorial that South Africa, Simon's Town, somehow it's their backyard, and therefore no any other nation should cooperate and work closely with South Africa. So nations do take choices, and in this instance, I think South Africa has made that choice, that it is not taking any sides. It's independent in terms of considering who it does relation with, and it values the United States. That's why it has military relation with the United States. So does it with China and Russia. So I think that's the core of the issue today. Should South Africa be a member of BRICS? Yes or no? In this instance, we're told not to be. And I think the nation needs to answer, should we be dictated by other parliaments? Should we be dictated by the White House? The answer is no. If we're a free nation, we shouldn't be. We understand it's going to hurt our relation with the United States, but a decisive decision must be made. Our constitution makes it quite clear that we want to promote global peace and security through a multipolar centered world order and be friends to everyone. And I think we're exercising that right that we're told we shouldn't be.
I want to disagree with David here a little bit, and I'm going to challenge you here, David, because I don't think the issue at the moment is South Africa's membership of BRICS. I don't think the challenge here is the fact that we are conducting this exercise with the Chinese at the moment. I think there's questions, if I may be so frank, there's questions about the foundations of South African foreign policy and what we are basing our foreign policy on, and our relations, let's be honest, with Russia and in particular at the moment the Iranians, and what is unfolding in those countries at the moment. And I don't think this has to do with South Africa being part of BRICS per se. I think this is speaking to precisely what you are talking about in terms of the strategic autonomy, the non-alignment. But then we need to add to that the idea of multilateralism. And very important, there's two issues that I want to highlight here from the phraseology on South African foreign policy. And that is the African primacy, firstly, and secondly, our constitutional values. And if we look at this exercise from the African primacy and from the constitutional values perspective, then perhaps there is reason for us to also question the presence of the Iranians, and I want to go so far as to say even the Russians here, and I'm cautiously saying that. I mean, that's open for debate for us to discuss, and it's pretty much an issue of where you are sitting and what you are seeing. In the same way that I would have been very uncomfortable in view of what the Americans have done in the last year or two, and in terms of the Trump foreign policy, I would have been very uncomfortable if we had a naval exercise with the Americans at the moment and with the Israelis, if I can be that blunt. So I think one has to be much more cautious here in terms of our strategic autonomy and in terms of our non-alignment. As I said, there's always cost involved in these kind of exercises.
Yeah.
And perhaps we need to talk about the cost for South Africa. Since December, almost 3,000 people have died in Iran because of repressive measurements from that government in response to what is going on in Iran. Yet we're waiting for their ships to arrive before we do something about it. So I think what you are saying is right, but I also think that we ought to be very, very cautious in how we approach these exercises.
Yeah, and I'll give you an opportunity, Professor Munyai. I'll give you an opportunity to come in a moment. But Professor Esther Hazer, isn't the issue, though, fundamentally that foreign policy broadly is what the U.S. has an issue with South Africa with? Because foreign policy involves a lot of things. Trump has already said before that anybody who goes and joins the BRICS bloc, they're going to get additional tariffs. That's a threat that he made last year. In fact, as early as a couple of days ago, the chair of the U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Republican Jim Risch, was questioning the military drills that SA engaged in with China and Russia and Iran, arguing that South Africa can't claim non-alignment and still host drills with America's chief adversaries. And for some reason, they still see China and Russia as chief adversaries. And yet, Donald Trump still rolls up the red carpet for Vladimir Putin in Alaska. So yes, BRICS, I think, is still an issue that America has. ICJ case against Israel is an issue that America has. Our relations with Iran is an issue that America has. And all of those fall under foreign policy.
I think what you have talked about and what you've sketched there is what I consider to be context. I mean, you could have expected a pushback from America, even without the controversy about the Iranian and what is happening in Iran at the moment and what is happening in Russia at the moment. You could have expected pushback from the Americans just having an exercise between the South African Navy and, let's say, China. So I'm not too worried about the American position on this and the noise that the Americans are making about this exercise at the moment. Of course, we can have a discussion from a South African perspective as to whether this is good for our relationship with the Americans at this moment, given their consideration of the African Trade and Opportunities Act in Washington at the moment. But I think that's another debate. For me, the issue here, and I would like to hear David on this issue, for me, this is in considering South Africa's idea of strategic autonomy, considering the constitutional values of South Africa and our foreign policy, this is more an issue of who we are as a nation. And what it is saying about us as a nation if we have naval exercises with countries that we are seeing the kind of things that are unfolding in Iran at the moment. What is it saying about us? What is it saying about our values and our constitutional values? This has nothing, in my opinion, to do with the Americans. It is part of the strategic autonomy. But that strategic autonomy doesn't mean that we can do whatever we want to do. We still a nation that adhere to fundamental values that is rooted in our constitution, that is rooted in policy documents. And I think that should be the guiding light for us. And it's actually for us a time to sit back and to reflect on those values and to ask ourselves whether we agree with what is going on in Iran at the moment, whether we agree with what Russia is doing in Ukraine at the moment,
and whether we agree
want to do and
with what America is doing in Venezuela.
And more than that, I agree with you. And more than that, why we don't have African participation in this exercise. Where is Nigeria? Where is the Kenyan Navy? Where is the Egyptian Navy?
Let me give Professor David Manyathela an opportunity to come in here. Prof, go ahead.
I think it goes back that Pretoria should and must clarify in terms of the action it takes and the timing. As far as that is concerned, I think more work needs to be done at any given moment in terms of taking caution, which I agree with my colleague. However, I fundamentally disagree with him on selective morality, that the world that we look into, yes, we are driven by human rights and everything else, but equally, we're also driven by pragmatism. We have to put food on the table. We don't eat morality. And therefore, we need to diversify our trade and ensure that we live in a world which is fairer. In advancing that, we have to promote multilateralism, climate change, and everything else. So all these issues that we are raising and we advance, it's being discarded in Washington. No one else was violating those norms, values, and that you are mentioning more than the United States at this moment. Yes, there are issues in Iran, and South Africa does not agree with Iranian politics and the entire BRICS. It's not a formation on ideology. It's a loose club, and they agree on core issues to advance economy and ensuring that we have a multipolar world order which is fair. And all these activities are in advancing that agenda. And therefore, if we have to wait and debate whenever China enters and when Russia enters, or Saudi Arabia, that is so close to the United States. And I'll ask my good professor, what is different between Iran and Saudi Arabia? So it's a question of saying we need to abide by countries that are good to United States. And if United States wakes up tomorrow and say Zambia is a bad country, we also have to follow suit. I mean, international relation is not pursued, is not in any way advanced in that manner. You have to be independent. There's cost indeed, yes. Africa and why African Navy African navies are quite poor and they don't have capabilities and are very limited. But your point remains good that perhaps we need to have the limited resources with fellow African countries and strengthen and guard the trade, the sea lanes, our deep waters. A number of countries are fishing illegally. We're not secure as a continent. All other countries are coming and plundering our resources, and we need, therefore, South Africa working with the fellow African countries to really protect this treasure that we have.
Yeah, it's 11:31.
Yep.
Let's get the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Maki, good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. At least 1,427 people died on the country's roads during the festive season. This represents a 5% reduction in fatalities compared to the previous December break. This morning, Transport Department released the festive season road safety report for the 2025-2026 period. Transport Minister Barbara Creasy says there was a total of 1,172 crashes recorded during this period, which represents the lowest number of crashes in 5 years. We move to the court courts, where 5 suspects are appearing in court for the murder of 2 women from Orange Farm. Nontokozo Mazibuko and Andiswa Sontangane, both aged 25, were last seen on New Year's Eve after leaving home in their vehicle in Porki. Police say one of the victims' mothers received a ransom demand, and days later, their decomposing bodies were found in a veld in Porki. And social media platform X is set to block Grok AI from digitally undressing images of real people. This comes as government ministers condemn the action, citing safety concerns. Sir Keir Starmer has described the non-consensual sex images produced by Grok as disgusting and shameful, and media regulator Ofcom has launched an investigation. Those are the headlines. This Eyewitness News and more at midday, or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by South African Airways. It's nearly time to head back to university, so why hit the road when you can fly? Book at flysaa.com now.
While travelling in Boksburg, we've got delays on the N17 East. This is as you approach the R21 turnoff. Please be on the lookout there. An accident reported in roadworks taking place along the same route. While travelling on the Mark 1 North in the Boysons area, delays coming out of Boysons Road. There's also queuing traffic on the N3 North between Van Buren and the Gilulis interchange. While the good news at this particular moment is that accident that we spoke about earlier in Randburg has been cleared. It was on the N1 North, but traffic is now flowing. And then in Midrand, we still have got delays on the N1 South approaching New Road. This is due to an accident as well as road works. And then in the city of Tshwane, delays on the N14 East approaching the Bergfontein interchange. That's due to roadworks taking place along this route. Please be on the lookout and approach with care. More updates coming up at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Getting ready for university, let South African Airways take the pressure out of your travel. Enjoy all-inclusive one-way fares from Johannesburg to Durban from 690 Rand, from Johannesburg to Gqeberha from 655 Rand, and from Johannesburg to Cape Town from 1,144 Rand. Plus, pack more of what you need with 2 checked bags instead of 1. On sale until the 12th of February. Travel by 12th of Feb 2026. Book now at flysaa.com. T's and C's apply.
Enjoy the thrill of the Soccer Punches Challenge Weekend Edition, an all-new platform from Hollywood Bets. You stand a chance to win a share of the 5 million Rand jackpot when you bet 5 Rand or more on selected EPL matches over the weekend and correctly predict 10 out of 10 winning margins. Or chase the share of the 50,000 Rand leaderboard prize. Entry is free. Let this soccer season bring sizzling success. Bet now. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
You may regret pulling a muscle while trying to impress that someone at the gym. But with Outsurance Essential Car Insurance, you'll have no regrets covering your older car at a much lower premium. And you get third-party cover up to 1 million Rand. Get Outsurance Essential Car Insurance today for unfinanced cars older than 5 years valued at less than 130,000 Rand. SMS SAVE to 45363. That's SAVE to 45363. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
There's heading out for the weekend, and then there's heading out for the weekend in your Ford Everest. With terrain modes for any road conditions and seats comfier than your leather couch, it's not just traveling, it's exploring. That's peak living in the Ford Everest, starting from only 837,500. And with our Ford Family Promise, you have access to a 60-minute express service because your vehicle deserves a pit crew too. Visit your nearest Ford dealer today. T&Cs apply.
The Dialogue with Clement Manyathela.
It's not just another roundtable discussion.
Let's walk the talk on 702.
24 minutes before 12 o'clock on our Thursday Dialogue this morning. We're continuing the conversation we started on the open line yesterday, discussing these naval exercises with the number of countries. One, China, there's Russia involved. We're still not sure whether Iran ended up joining the naval exercises. We're told that there's going to be a briefing that sort of clarifies it all. But we've got experts who are helping understand this rapidly changing geopolitical environment. Professor David Munyai, who's the director of the Center for Africa-China Studies at the University of Johannesburg, and Professor Abel Esterhazy, who is a defense expert and associate professor of strategy in the Faculty of Military Science at the University of Stellenbosch University. I've got your calls and WhatsApps as well coming through, so if you want to join this conversation, you can call on 011-883-0702, or you are welcome to send a WhatsApp voice note on 072-702-1702. Let's start there.
Clement, Paul, Johannesburg, my 5 cents. Happy New Year for starters to you and the team. I don't think we ever look at the bigger picture. I think the people that are making these decisions do it purely on the basis of their ego. It just seems that way to me. The bigger picture is to have a look at who our allies are, have a look at the fact that we still want AGOA to take place, their apple and all the produce growers that are now no longer have this facility. Have a look at the bigger picture, not just the face value or whoever paid you enough money to do X, Y, and Z. The bigger picture for the nation, and I think that's the ANC's biggest problem. There's no bigger picture. There's for the here and now, but there's no bigger picture. And as such, we do these war games and the likes of, I understand, the MSC to Inyaka Islands was told to rush through. Instead of arriving at 6, they had to be pushed through till 2 in the morning because there were war games. There's no bigger picture, and I think that is our biggest shortcoming. And I'm sure the professors will weigh in on what I've just mentioned, regardless of foreign policy or not. Thank you, Clement. Good show. Cheers.
Good morning, Mr. Clay. Hope you're well. Mr. Clay, for a country like Russia, who's currently at war, why are they doing these exercises? Shouldn't they focus all their military might at winning their war or fighting or defending? I don't understand it. Hector and Midrand.
Hi, Clement and the team. My question to your guest is why the focus is on Iran, not Russia, which invaded Ukraine? Because in my view, it means that whatever Russia is currently learning in those drills may end up being utilized to gain a competitive advantage against Ukraine, which means, in other words, we are assisting Russia to gain a competitive edge against Ukraine. David in Melrose.
Thank you so much for your comments. Maybe this is where, let me bring you in, Professor Esterhazy, because maybe where we need to begin is explaining why the drills matter and what their aim is, because David, who sent us a WhatsApp voice note, believes that Russia may gain some kind of competitive advantage here. But also, BRICS essentially is not really a military alliance. It's just an intergovernmental partnership, like Mr. Professor Munyai said, partnership of these developing nations focused on economic cooperation and trade. But then the question will then be, why then carry out the military exercises together?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And the reality here is that this naval exercise is not a BRICS exercise. South Africa actually invited a whole range of nations, including the Americans and other countries, to participate in the exercise. This is not a BRICS exercise. This is precisely why you are seeing, for example, a country like the United Arabs participating, the Emirati, participating in this exercise that is quite close to the Americans. So I think that's the first point that I want to make. The second point I want to make is that if one asks the question as to why countries are doing these exercises, you have to keep in mind that navies have more in common with other navies and ships sailing on under other flags, other countries' flags, than what they have in common with their own army and their own air force. They culturally aligned with other navies, much more than the army and the air force under their own flag. And so doing exercises with other countries' navies is not something strange. It is something that navies around the world are doing. And you would be surprised to to learn which navies are exercising with which navies. It's a common feature. But part of what navies do, and this is where ships are so important, is a naval diplomacy. And naval diplomacy is an important part of the broader diplomatic setup of a country. And so what navies do with their ships, where they go alongside, where they are refueling, which countries they visit. If you have kept track of how the Russians have sailed from Russia around the coast of Africa, coming down the west coast, which harbors they went alongside. It is telling a diplomatic story. And part of the problem that I'm finding here, and this is, David, where I'm going to challenge you a little bit, is that it is not a case of selective morality. And I have a difficult, or I have a challenge in my own mind to set up this exercise as an either-or type of exercise. We exercise with the Chinese and the Russians and the Iranians, and that by implication set us up against the Americans. We also do exercises with the Americans. And that's part of our strategic independence and our strategic autonomy. That we can do this as a country, that we can opt to participate in exercises with different countries. My question then is precisely what he asked about Russia. We're willing to go to the International Court of Justice in addressing the problem of Israeli behavior in Gaza. But we are not willing to stand up to the Americans and say, what are you doing in Venezuela? Or to the Iranians, what are you doing in your own country? You've killed almost 3,000 people since December. That's unacceptable. Russia, what you are doing in Ukraine is unacceptable. The number of people you have killed is unacceptable. What you are doing in terms of international law is unacceptable. And this is where I want to argue it's not an either or type of scenario here. Our strategic autonomy, our non-alignment, our constitutional values, multilateralism, those are the tools that allows us to be truly independent in our foreign policy. And unfortunately, we need to stand up for something here somewhere along the line.
Yeah. Professor Munyai, I mean, that speaks to then the consistency in our foreign policy. Do you think that our government has managed that? And what you spoke about earlier, and Professor Esther Hazer also spoke about, is the cost. What cost are we willing to take here with these alliances we have?
I think the cost has to do, but I think firstly, we have to understand that South Africa by nature is much more a country that was born out of internationalism. And you look at the constitution, whether it was the apartheid government that was involved, from the League of Nations to United Nations, Jan Smuts contributed in the charter. So equally, ANC and other liberation movement contributed at a global level. We've been involved in Bangdang, the formation of the Global South itself from way back. And therefore, as a country, I think we believe so much in progressive internationalism, which somehow is enshrined in our constitution. I think it is within that context that we strive to have an independent foreign policy, argue for transformation of institutions of global governance, and ensure that multilateralism are used. Should Ukraine come and want to do naval exercise, I do not see any reason why South Africa should not do the same as it does with Russia. The only problem I'm having is that we're constantly told, one way or another, when we exercise, when America has military bases across our continent, and the military is here, we are intelligent, we exercises with Americans and others, there's absolutely no noise, no elevated voices. But when we do that with others, particularly the ones that are seen to be enemies or opponents of United States and others, therefore then these issues come. That's where I'm having problem. Where do we start and where do we end? If we stop being told by someone else, don't do A and B. So as an independent country, I think we need to move from that strategic position. We shall be close to all countries, and we're not taking sides. And I think that's what we're precisely doing. Are we communicating that well? I'm not sure. I think that's what we're waiting to hear.
Yeah. William, you're calling us from Edenvale. What are your thoughts? Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. I'm a white person who would have married a black lady. I put that out there. Sadly, she passed away. What you're saying about multilateralism and all that kind of thing, I hear you. For me, it's got nothing to do with that. Bottom line, China's not my friend. Russia's not my friend. Iran is not my friend. Those are not democracies. I've got zero tolerance for communism. I despise Vladimir Putin. This little dog, this animal, Vladimir Putin. The ANC talks about human rights and freedom of speech, but they're in bed with communists. So that's what I'd like to say. I worry about the black people's future in Africa, not only South Africa. I worry about Africa must keep Russia and China at arm's length.
We should, okay. And what about America, William? Because if you are for democracies, then you will take issue with what America has done in Venezuela, because what they've done is against any international law. It's actually going against democracy.
With respect to you, and sometimes you anger me, I'm going to be honest with you, because Venezuela is new on the block. Prime media, or the media and ANC have said nothing about Ukraine, Russia in Ukraine. Sudan is we're very quiet on Sudan. Iran, what's going on there with the protesting, there's very little comment on that now. So, Venezuela, yes, I understand that. And I'm not a fan of Trump, but I am pro-American. And
But
I am
how?
pro-Republican.
But you can't be pro-democracy, but you're okay with a country that has invaded Iraq, a country that has invaded and kidnapped the president of Venezuela, a country that has invaded Libya, a country that has invaded Afghanistan. Then you've got selective morality. You are not for democracy.
Can I carry on?
Yeah?
Clement, you're very young. How much did you know about Gaddafi? How much do you know about Saddam Hussein, who was a dictator? You've got to be careful about saying, you ask those people in those countries now, are their lives better now than they were when Gaddafi was around or Saddam? And I'm sure they'll tell you yes.
Well, I've seen. Many of them will also tell you no. Have you seen the mess that America has caused in Afghanistan? America itself has admitted we stayed there for too long. What we did there was messy. In fact, look at any country that America has invaded. How have lives changed there? They've left and caused a mess. The point I'm making, William, is you can't have selective. If you're going to claim you are for democracy, you can't want to look at Russia, and I hold nothing for Russia. You can't just look at China.
Clement,
You've got to be consistent there and say, okay, but what has America done? Because it's interfered with democracy in other countries. But thank you so much for your thoughts, William, in Edenvale. Let me get Professor Esther Hazen to respond to that. And by the way, I hope you know that when we have discussions here, we don't have discussions so that we anger each other. I hope you mean that in that you make me think and have a strong opinion. Otherwise, that becomes an unhealthy conversation. I don't get angered by people I disagree with. I actually embrace their comments. Will it make me feel passionate and I want to respond? Yeah, probably, but I'm not angry at it. So let's not be angry at each other. Let's just engage each other and hear each other as much as we may differ with each other. Professor Esther Hazen, what do you want to say?
Clement, what you've just said is the essence of democracy. And it is important that we as South Africans embrace precisely that. Because this is also the point that I want to make about the previous speaker. I think, in democracies, you have two issues. You have an ability to self-correct. And what is going on in America at the moment is something that I think is unacceptable from a democratic perspective. But a democratic system has an ability to self-correct in a way, and we are seeing the self-correction in South Africa on a daily basis. Democracy is always work in progress. That is the reality. The problem I have, and this is perhaps what he is speaking to as well, is how countries are pursuing their international interest outside the borders of their countries. What are the tools that they are using in pursuing their national interest? And the problem with America is not that America is pursuing its interest. The problem with America is that it's too often using its military in pursuance of that interest. But let me also say, if you look at Africa at the moment and what is unfolding in Africa, it is perhaps worthwhile to look at what Russia, for example, is doing with private military companies in Africa at the moment. Go to the Central African Republic. Go to the Sahel region of Africa and see what the Russians are doing by exporting military force using the private military companies. So one has to be very cautious here if you're pointing fingers at countries internationally pursuing their interests and how they're using the military instrument in pursuing that interest. Some countries do have a much greater emphasis, and the Americans are a textbook example in this regard.
Yeah, Professor Munyai, let me give you a chance to give us your closing remarks as well. We've got about 30 seconds.
Firstly, I think this has nothing to do with black and white, whether someone marries white or not.
I thought the point was still going to come as well. So
I was laughing at that one.
It doesn't really matter who is my partner, black or white. So it's about food on the table. I think we need to have a national consciousness that we might have differences, but the bigger question we need to ask, what kind of relationship are we having with outside world? And what kind of norms and values are we advancing as a country? And we should not be dictated by the Western world or the Eastern, whatever, whether it's Putin or whoever that is advancing their own interest at our expense. So I think all in all, South Africa should exercise its right to naval drills with all countries. And we need to be fair to raise concern when Americans military jets comes in the country, and we do shows similar to these ones, and not only when the Iranians are here or not.
Professor Munyai and Professor Esther Hazen, thank you so much for making time for us.
Want to know how much money Outsurance saves 35-year-old Zanai on her car insurance?
A whopping 1,180 Rand.
That's an incredible 1,180 Rand monthly saving on Zanai's 2017 Mercedes-Benz GLA. And the out bonus she'll get?
It is close to 6,500 Rand in 3 years if I'm claim-free.
Nice. How much money could Outsurance save you? SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
This message is brought to you by Eskom, redefining for a better future.
Hey South Africa, want to keep your lights on and save money? Let's use electricity wisely. It's easier than you think. Switch off lights when you leave a room, unplug chargers and appliances, and use energy-saving bulbs. They last longer and use less power. Every little bit helps for your home, your wallet, and our planet.
Let's make it a habit and use electricity wisely. Eskom.
This year, Red Hill School celebrates the achievement of our class of 2025. Our IEB students achieved a record average of 4.3 distinctions per candidate, the strongest results in our school's history. Our international baccalaureate students placed in the top 10% globally, well above the world average. Results like these don't happen by chance. They reflect dedicated students, committed teachers, and families who partner with the school. At Red Hill, excellence is never accidental. It's built together. Visit redhill.co.za for details.
702 was in conversation with Nedbank CIB to discuss unlocking South Africa's potential through infrastructure and industrial renewal. Here's what you missed.
For us at Nedbank, we see it as a driver for economic outcomes. So it's not just a theory. In 2025 at Nedbank, we've seen how capital allocation decisions are being shaped by infrastructure performance, and we're encouraged by the legislative reforms which support the crowding in of private sector investment in infrastructure. Following what we've seen in energy and Eskom, we're really excited about the announcements that government has made around transport and Transnet, and we actually really believe that we as South Africa, and potentially the continent, are on the cusp of the largest rail reform program in the century, which is really aimed at revitalizing the transport and logistics sector.
702 in conversation with Nedbank CIB. Listen to the full podcast and more on primemediaplus.com.
Coming up
On the Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
Bonjour, Mandy Wiener. How are you doing?
Bonjour.
Ça va? Comment vous appelez?
I used to have like half decent French and now I have nothing. So thanks for exposing me.
That's where I end. Like, don't expect
Yeah,
me
that's
to go
about
further
it.
than that.
I learned
Je m'appelle Clement.
I learned French like 20 years ago and now I've forgotten it all. So,
Yeah, same.
thanks for that, Clement.
What's popping on the show
I have
today?
other skills. Flooding in Limpopo, flights cancelled, schools closed, villages cut off. Slight decrease in road traffic fatalities over December. That report has been released by the Transport Minister. The Crime Intelligence Head is on the stand at the ad hoc committee in Parliament. Are you still following this?
Yeah. What else is coming up?
CCTV footage at the centre of DJ Warris's bail application. And then we'll get an update on Uganda. Polls are open there. There's been a security crackdown in the country.
I think for me, when you've got someone like Dumisani Kumalo who's already testified at the Madlanga, and I followed that. I watched all of it. Now, you see, there's going to be a bit of repetition here. So I don't follow it as religiously as I used to follow there.
Two running in parallel.
Yes.
And
so if I've followed you at ad hoc, I won't follow you religiously at Madlanga, and so vice versa. So that's where I am now, because otherwise I'm watching the same thing.
Okay.
That's Mandy Wiener coming up on the Midday Report. Thank you for listening to the Thursday edition of the show. Siyabuya kusasa between 9 and 12. Have a beautiful day, friends. Bye-bye.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Maiki Molapo. President Cyril Ramaphosa has called for calm and peaceful dialogue in Iran as waves of protests continue in the Middle Eastern country. Iran has been gripped by nationwide protests for more than 2 weeks as thousands of